The sages of old taught that the wound is the place where the light enters you, not as a punishment, not as a mark of failure, but as a sacred opening, an intentional crack in the armor you have worn for so long. It is an invitation, issued from the very heart of the universe, to look deeper, to journey beyond the veil of the obvious and the noise of the world. So we begin here, not with the intention to fix what you perceive as broken, nor to erase the scars that tell your story. This is not a lecture that offers easy answers. It is a shared silence, a quiet space to meet yourself, perhaps for the first time. It is a dialogue with the wisdom that already resides within the chambers of your heart, waiting patiently to be heard. Consider this. What if the pain you carry is not a burden, but a compass, its needle trembling not with weakness, but with the pull of a truer north? What if the shattering you feel is not the end of your world, but the breaking of a shell, allowing a more authentic self to finally breathe? This journey is one of remembrance, remembering the wholeness that exists beneath the feeling of being fractured, remembering the silence that holds every sound. We will walk together into this quiet landscape, not as teachers or students, but as fellow travelers. Let your breath be your guide, your heartbeat the drum to which we walk. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to prove. There is only the profound, revolutionary act of listening. Listening to the sacred words the universe is whispering, right now, through the very center of your wound. Step inside. You have been told to hide your scars, to cover them with layers of conformity, to smooth over the rough edges with the plaster of a smile. Society teaches you that the scar is a blemish, a sign of imperfection, a story of something that went wrong. You may have spent years, even a lifetime, trying to forget it was there, trying to present a surface to the world that was flawless, untouched, unbroken. You may have traced its edges in the dark, feeling a phantom ache of shame, of regret, of a past that you believe defines your present. We are taught to see the scar as the evidence of a battle lost, but that is the first great lie. Your scar is not a sign of defeat. It is the irrefutable proof that you survived. It is the seal of a warrior, the mark of an alchemist who has turned pain into breath, and breath into one more day. It is a testament etched into the fabric of your being that you were struck, you were wounded, and yet you are still here. Look closer. Do not turn away. See it for what it is. It is a line in the sand, a border between the person you were before and the person you were forced to become in the crucible of your experience. Before the wound, you may have been whole, but it was a simple, untested wholeness. The scar signifies a new kind of integrity, one that has been broken and has learned how to mend. Think of the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired not with invisible glue, but with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The philosophy is not to hide the damage, but to illuminate it. The cracks are celebrated, for they are now part of the object's history, and they make it more beautiful, more resilient, and more valuable than it was before. Your scar is your golden seam. It is the place where the light of your own resilience has poured in to mend you, creating a pattern of strength that is uniquely yours. To wish it away is to wish away the very gold that now holds you together. It is to wish away your own inimitable beauty. Let us release the word flaw. It has no place here. A flaw implies a mistake in the design, but you are not a machine on an assembly line. You are a living, evolving consciousness. Your experiences, especially the wounding ones, are not errors in your code. They are initiations. They are the harsh but necessary curriculum of the soul. Your scar is the diploma from that grueling education. It is the map of a territory you have successfully navigated. Imagine an old, weathered explorer laying out a map of a new continent. Would they be ashamed of the lines, the smudges, the places where the paper is creased and worn? Number. They would point to them with pride. Here, they would say, is where I faced the great rapids. Here is the mountain I thought I could not climb. And here, this mark right here, is where I found a new way through. Your scar is that mark. It is a landmark of your soul's journey, a point of reference for your own strength. It does not speak of your fragility. It sings of your endurance. We carry these marks not just on our skin, but in the deeper tissues of our psyche. The scar of betrayal, the scar of loss, the scar of not feeling seen or heard or loved. We build our identities around these inner wounds. We say, I am a person who was abandoned, or I am a person who failed. We allow the scar to become the entirety of our landscape. But consider the ancient, wise tree in a forest. It has endured countless storms. A branch may have been ripped away by a fierce wind, leaving a knotted scar on its trunk. Lightning may have seared its bark. Yet, does the tree identify itself as a broken thing, number? It simply is. The scar is part of its being, a testament to the lightning it met and the winds it withstood. The tree does not stop reaching for the sun because of its wounds. In fact, it often grows stronger around the wound, the wood becoming denser, more resilient. The scar becomes a point of immense strength. You are that tree. Your wound does not diminish your life force. It is simply a place where you have learned to gather your strength, to focus your growth, and to continue reaching for the light. So let us change the story we tell ourselves about our scars. Let us stop whispering the tale of damage and start speaking the epic of survival. Feel into the memory of the wound, not to relive the pain, but to honor the moment after. The moment, however small, when you chose to take the next breath. That was an act of profound courage. The moment you chose to get out of bed, the moment you chose to speak or to be silent. Every single choice you made to continue living, to continue healing, was a stitch in the golden seam. The scar is not the story of what was done to you. It is the story of what you did with it. It is the physical, emotional, and spiritual archive of your own power. It holds the energy of your will to live. When you touch it or think of it, you are not touching weakness. You are touching the concentrated essence of your own life force. To honor the scar is to reclaim your narrative. You are the author of your story, and you have the power to define what each chapter means. You can choose to see the scar as the final, tragic page, or you can see it as the turning point in the hero's journey. It is the moment the protagonist, wounded and weary, discovers a depth of strength they never knew they possessed. It is the source of their wisdom, their compassion, their understanding. A person who has never been wounded cannot truly understand the landscape of the human heart. They live on the surface. Your scar has given you depth. It has carved canyons into your being, and it is in those very canyons that the rivers of empathy and wisdom now flow. You can connect with another's pain not out of pity, but out of a shared, sacred understanding. Your scar is a bridge. It connects you to the whole of the human experience. It makes you a healer, a guide, a source of solace for others who are still lost in the pain of their own fresh wounds. So, for a moment, let go of the resistance. Cease the internal battle against what is. Place a hand, either physically or in your imagination, over the place that feels wounded. And instead of pushing it away, simply hold it. Hold it with a new reverence. Breathe into it. Send it a current of acceptance, of gratitude even. Thank it. Thank it for the lessons it taught you. Thank it for the strength it forced you to find. Thank it for the compassion it cultivated in your heart. Thank it for being the very thing that broke you open, so that a greater, more profound light could enter. See it not as dark and ugly, but as a shimmering, intricate pattern of gold, a unique signature of your soul's triumphant, ongoing journey. It is not a thing to be hidden in shame. It is a treasure to be held in reverence. As you sit with this new perception, this acceptance of the scar as a sacred part of your story, a new question naturally arises. If the scar is part of the story, a mark on the map, then who is the one reading it? If you can observe this scar, if you can feel it, analyze it, and change your relationship to it, then you cannot be the scar itself. There must be a part of you that is the awareness holding the scar. a consciousness that is separate from the story, even as it experiences it. This is the great turning point. Having finally made peace with the evidence of our past battles, we begin to suspect that we are not the warrior, nor the wound, nor the scar. We are something else entirely. We are the silent, spacious field upon which the entire battle took place, and this recognition is the beginning of true freedom. You have made peace with the scar. You have held it, honored it, and seen the golden light of your own resilience shining in its seams. And in that quiet moment of acceptance, a question was born. Who is it that performs this act of seeing? If you can observe your pain, your history, your very scars, then who are you? This question is a doorway. On its handle are etched the words, "Know thyself." Let us now turn that handle and step through. Beyond the story of the wound, beyond the identity of the survivor, there exists a vast and silent dimension within you. It is a presence that has been with you every moment of your life, yet it is the part of you that you are least familiar with. We will call it the watcher, the silent observer, the awareness that lies behind your eyes. Think of a moment of intense emotion. Perhaps it was anger, a hot, searing wave that consumed everything, or a profound sadness, a cold, heavy fog that seemed to fill the entire world. In that moment, you likely said to yourself, "I am angry," or "I am sad." You fused your entire identity with the passing cloud of that emotion. But even in the heart of that storm, there was a part of you that knew. There was a subtle background awareness that registered, anger is present. There was a quiet knowing that sadness is here. That knowing, that simple, non-judgmental awareness, is the watcher. It is the part of you that is not the thought, but the space in which the thought appears. It is not the emotion, but the silent container in which the emotion is felt. It has never been hurt. It has never been angry. It has never been sad. It has simply and lovingly witnessed it all. The most powerful metaphor for this is one given by the ancient masters. You are not the storm, you are the sky. Your mind is a vast, open sky. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories, these are the weather. Sometimes the sky of your mind is clear, blue, and serene. At other times, dark clouds gather. The winds of anxiety begin to howl. Flashes of anger light up the darkness like lightning. The cold, driving rain of sorrow falls for days on end. This is the human experience. We are taught to identify with the weather. When it rains, we say, "I am raining." When a storm rages, we say, "I am the storm." We chase the sunny days and we curse the rainy ones. We live in a state of constant resistance to the weather of our own being, and this resistance is the source of our deepest suffering. But the sky does nothing of the sort. The sky does not fight the storm. It does not cling to the sunshine. It does not fear the clouds or resent the rain. It allows the entire weather pattern to arise, to exist, and to pass away in its own time. It offers no resistance. It simply provides the space for it all to happen. And most importantly, the sky is never, ever harmed by the storm. The fiercest lightning cannot scar it. The most torrential downpour cannot drown it. The strongest wind cannot tear it. When the storm has passed, as all storms do, the sky is still there, vast, silent, peaceful, untouched. This is your true nature. The watcher within you is this sky. Your pain, your trauma, your grief, it is all a storm passing through the vast, eternal space of your own consciousness. By identifying with the sky instead of the storm, you find an anchor of peace in the midst of any turmoil. You realize that you are the space for the pain, not the pain itself. And this changes everything. How do you practice this? It is not a doing, but an undoing. It is a gentle shift of attention. Right now, as you listen, a thought may arise. Perhaps it's, "This makes sense," or "I'm not sure I understand." Instead of getting lost in the content of the thought, take one step back. Become aware that a thought is happening. Ask yourself, Who is it that is aware of this thought? In that tiny gap between the thought and the question, you will find a flicker of silence, a moment of pure awareness. That is the watcher. Notice the sensations in your body, the feeling of the air on your skin, the pressure of where you are sitting. Instead of naming them or judging them, simply feel them. Be the space in which these sensations are occurring. This is the practice. It is the art of stepping back from the movie and remembering that you are the screen. The movie can be a tragedy, a comedy, a drama, but the screen remains pristine, unaffected, always present. The ego, the voice in your head that constantly chatters and judges, will fight this. The ego thrives on identification. It needs the drama of the storm to feel alive. It says, if I am not my story, if I am not my pain, if I am not my accomplishments and failures, then who am I? It fears annihilation. But the watcher is not the ego's enemy. It is the loving parent to the ego's frightened child. The watcher holds the ego's fears in its compassionate embrace, just as the sky holds the storm. It says, I see you are afraid. I feel your need for identity. It is okay. You can rest now, here in this vast space of being. When you rest as the watcher, you are not destroying the ego, you are transcending it. You are placing it in its proper perspective as a tool for navigating the world, not as the master of your inner house. This silent awareness has qualities you can feel directly. It is utterly peaceful. It has no opinion. It does not condemn you for your anger or praise you for your joy. It simply witnesses. And in this non-judgmental witnessing, there is a profound love. It is the unconditional acceptance you may have been seeking your entire life from outside sources. It was always here, within you, as the very ground of your being. It is timeless. Think about it. The awareness that is looking through your eyes now is the same awareness that looked through them when you were a child. The personality has changed. The body has changed. The beliefs have changed. But the fundamental sense of I am, the light of consciousness itself, has not aged one day. You are tapping into the eternal part of yourself. By cultivating your connection to the watcher, you are not creating a state of detachment where you no longer feel. On the contrary, you feel more fully, but you are no longer drowned by your feelings. Imagine dipping your hand into a bucket of water. Your hand is wet, fully experiencing the water. Now imagine falling into the ocean. You are the water. The first is feeling an emotion from the space of the watcher. The second is being lost in the emotion through identification. The watcher allows you to experience the richness of human emotion without being its victim. You can touch sadness without becoming sad. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You are the vast, stable sky, allowing the beautiful, terrible, magnificent weather of life to pass through you, enriching your landscape but never defining your essence. But there is a condition. This sky, this peace, this freedom of the watcher can only be found in one place. It can only be experienced in one moment. The watcher does not exist in the past. It does not exist in the future. It is the very essence of the present moment. The storm of the mind, the turmoil of emotion, derives all of its power from its ability to pull your consciousness away from this present moment. It drags you back into the regrets and resentments of what was, or throws you forward into the anxieties and fears of what might be. We believe we are being carried away by a powerful river, forgetting that we have the ability to simply step onto the bank, into the stillness of the now. And so, the question that naturally follows is this: what is this powerful illusion that keeps us trapped? If our true nature is the timeless sky, why are we so hypnotized by the clock? We must now turn our gaze to the grand illusion of time itself. You are the sky, and your true nature can only be found in the stillness that holds the storm. This silent, watchful presence, this freedom, has one home. That home is now. It is not a memory. It is not a destination. It is the very ground of reality. Yet, How often do you truly live there? The mind, like a powerful current, constantly pulls you away. It drags you into the murky waters of yesterday, or throws you into the imagined rapids of tomorrow. We have been taught to believe that we are travelers on a linear river called time, moving inexorably from a fixed past toward an uncertain future. This belief is the source of all human restlessness. It is the engine of our anxiety and the anchor of our sorrow. And it is the most profound illusion we have ever accepted as truth. Let us perform a simple investigation. Where is the past? Point to it. Can you hold it in your hand? Can you visit it as you would visit another room? You cannot. The past does not exist anywhere outside of your own mind. What you call the past is a collection of memories. And what is a memory? It is a thought form, an electrical and chemical pattern in your brain that you are activating right now. When you feel the sting of an old betrayal, you are not being hurt by the event itself, for the event is gone forever. You are being hurt by the memory of it, a ghost that you are summoning into the living present. When you are weighed down by regret, you are not suffering from your past actions, but from the mental story you are retelling yourself about them in this moment. The past has no power over you. None. The only power it has is the power you give it by allowing your attention, your precious consciousness, to be consumed by its phantoms. You are haunting yourself with the ghosts of a time that is no more. Now, let us look for the future. Where is it? Can you see it? You may see mental images, projections, and plans, but the future itself is not here. It has not happened. It exists only as a concept, a possibility, a thought form in your mind. What you call the future is an act of imagination happening now. When you feel anxiety, you are not reacting to a future event. You are reacting to your current thoughts about a potential future event. You are tormenting yourself in the present with a fiction your mind has created. We live our lives chasing a horizon that, by its very nature, can never be reached. For the moment you arrive at what was once the future, it is no longer the future. It is simply another now. You have never been in the future. You will never be in the future. You have only ever been, and can only ever be, right here, now. Think of your mind as a grand old movie theater. You are sitting in the dark, completely absorbed by the film on the screen. The screen is the present moment. It is the only thing that is actually real in the theater. The mind is the projector at the back of the room. And the film it is playing is a seamless reel woven from memories of the past and fantasies of the future. The projector whirs, the light of your consciousness shines through the film, and the images flicker onto the screen of now. We get so lost in the drama of the film, the betrayals, the romances, the fears that we forget where we are. We believe we are in the movie. We believe we are the character on the screen who is suffering, but you are not. The spiritual journey, the path to peace, is the simple act of remembering that you are sitting in the theater. It is turning your attention away from the hypnotic drama on the screen and becoming aware of the screen itself. It is realizing that you are the space in which the movie is playing. You can even take it a step further. You can turn around in your seat and see the projector for what it is: a machine, a mechanism telling stories. When you see it, it begins to lose its power over you. You can still watch the movie, but you are no longer lost in it. You are free. We must distinguish between two kinds of time. There is clock time, and there is psychological time. Clock time is a useful convention for navigating the physical world. You need it to set an appointment, to bake bread, to catch a train. It is a tool. Psychological time is the illness. It is the incessant, compulsive need of the ego to dwell in the past and project into the future. It is the accumulation of a past identity. This is who I am, because of what happened to me, and the constant striving toward a future salvation. I will be happy when I achieve this, or acquire that. This psychological time creates a heavy burden, a phantom self that obscures your true, luminous nature which exists only in the now. You are so busy being who you were and trying to become who you will be that you completely miss the miracle of who you are. The entire weight of your suffering is made of psychological time. Guilt, resentment, and grief are poisons of the past. Anxiety, stress, and worry are poisons of the future. These poisons cannot survive in the present moment. They dissolve in the light of your conscious presence. The only power you will ever have is in the now. The past cannot be changed. The future is shaped by what you do now. Therefore, all that is required of you is to give your full attention to this one eternal moment. How? Not by trying to stop your thoughts. That is just another form of resistance. Instead, you withdraw your belief in them. You anchor yourself in reality. Feel the air entering your nostrils. Listen to the hum of the world around you without labeling it. Feel the field of aliveness that pervades your hands. These simple sensory gateways pull you out of the illusory worlds of past and future and ground you in the living, breathing reality of here and now. This is not just a moment on a timeline. It is the portal to being itself. It is the timeless dimension where the watcher resides. When you bring your full presence to this moment, you notice something remarkable. You can handle what is happening now. Whatever it is, you can deal with it. It is the imagined future and the remembered past that are unbearable. By returning to the now, you reclaim all of the energy that was being wasted on time traveling. You become powerful, present, and peaceful. The problems remain, but they are no longer infused with the suffering created by psychological time. You act with clarity and precision, unburdened by the ghosts of yesterday or the phantoms of tomorrow. This is the state of flow, of grace, of effortless power. It is your natural state. So let us be clear. The river of time is not carrying you away. You are standing on the bank, watching the river of thought flow by. You have been hypnotized into believing you are drowning in its currents, but all you have to do is awaken to where you truly are. Here, always now. As we become more established in this timeless presence, we begin to notice the habits of the mind more clearly. We see the projector, even when we are not lost in its movie. We notice that it has a tendency to play the same films over and over again. It replays old arguments, old hurts, old fears. It creates loops of thought that become their own self-contained worlds. Now that we have seen the illusion of the timeline itself, we must examine the nature of these stories the projector loves to play. We must step inside the echo chamber of the mind. You have turned around in the theater of your mind and seen the projector for what it is, a machine that casts images of a non-existent past and an imagined future onto the pristine screen of the now. You have understood that the river of time that seemed to be carrying you away was only ever a river of thought. This is a profound liberation. But now, we must look more closely at the films this projector chooses to play. You will notice it has its favorites. It is a creature of habit. It does not like to create new material. It prefers to play reruns, looping the same scenes, the same dialogues, the same dramas, over and over again. This is the great secret of the mind's architecture. It is not a creative studio, it is an echo chamber. Imagine you are standing in a vast, circular room with walls made of a strange, resonant stone. You whisper a single word into the space. Perhaps the word is failure. Before the sound has even fully left your lips, it strikes the far wall and returns to you, slightly altered, but recognizable. Failure. Then it bounces to another wall and comes back louder. Failure. It strikes another and another. And soon the air is thick with 1,000 overlapping echoes of that one single whisper. It is amplified, distorted, and multiplied until it is a deafening roar that seems to come from everywhere at once. You can no longer distinguish your original whisper from the cacophony it created. You forget that you were the one who spoke the word in the first place. You only know the overwhelming reality of the noise. This room is your mind. The single whisper is the initial negative thought, the seed of self-doubt or fear. The echoes are the endless mental commentary, the judgments, the criticisms, and the associated memories that follow in its wake. Let us use another image. Your mind is a hall of mirrors. In the center, you place a single object. A thought such as, "I am alone." Instantly, this thought is reflected in 1,000 mirrors around you. One mirror, angled toward your past, reflects the image of a childhood memory where you felt abandoned. Another mirror, angled toward your future, reflects a terrifying image of you old and forgotten. A third, wavy mirror distorts the image, making you look small and pathetic next to a reflection of someone else who appears happy and connected. You are surrounded. Everywhere you look, you see proof of your aloneness. You are no longer perceiving a single thought. You are trapped in an immersive, seemingly infinite reality of that thought's truth. You mistake the endless reflections for evidence, when all you are ever seeing is the one object you place there yourself, multiplied by the mind's reflective, repetitive nature. This is not just poetry. It is the shape of our neurology. Every time you think a thought, you activate a specific neural pathway. It is like walking through a grassy field. The first time, you have to push the grass aside. But if you walk the same path every day, you begin to wear a groove in the earth. Soon, it becomes a well-defined trail. After months and years, it is a deep, wide trench. The energy of your consciousness, like water, will always seek the path of least resistance. It becomes easier and more automatic to flow down these well-worn grooves of thought. This is why negative thinking feels so compulsive, so addictive. You have, unconsciously, carved superhighways for despair, anxiety, and resentment in the very landscape of your mind, while the paths to peace and acceptance remain overgrown and seldom used. The echo chamber is not just a psychological space, it is a physical reality in your brain. What gives these echoes their power? What makes the reflections in the mirrors seem so solid? It is the energy of emotion. A thought on its own is weightless, transparent, but when a thought like "he betrayed me" is fused with the hot, heavy energy of anger, it becomes a dense, sticky projectile that slams into the walls of the chamber with tremendous force, creating a more powerful and longer-lasting echo. When a thought like "I might lose everything" is fused with the cold, contracting energy of fear, it becomes a shard of ice that multiplies into a blizzard in the hall of mirrors. Emotion is the glue that binds us to our mental loops. The mind provides the script, and the emotions provide the fuel. Together, they create a self-sustaining feedback loop, a perpetual motion machine of suffering. The thought generates a painful emotion, and the painful emotion validates and strengthens the original thought. Our first instinct when trapped in this deafening, disorienting space is to fight. We try to shout down the echoes. We scream, "I am not a failure." But the chamber just takes our scream and turns it into another echo. Failure, not a failure, failure. We try to smash the mirrors, engaging in violent internal arguments, battling our own thoughts, judging ourselves for having them. But how can you smash a reflection? Your frantic efforts only create more chaos, more noise. You exhaust yourself fighting your own mind, a battle you can never win on its terms. This is why positive affirmations can often feel so hollow. If you are standing in the roaring echo chamber of unworthiness, simply whispering, "I am worthy," is a sound that is instantly drowned out. You are not addressing the structure of the problem. You are just adding one more small, competing noise to the cacophony. There is only one way out. It is not through fighting, but through wisdom. It is not through making more noise, but through understanding the nature of sound itself. You cannot stop the echoes directly, but you can stop making the initial sound. The only way to bring peace to the Hall of Mirrors is to stop placing new objects in it to be reflected. You must return to the source. The source is the moment of inception, the instant before the whisper leaves your lips, the space before the thought is believed. The way to do this is to return to the seat of the watcher. It is the practice of noticing the impulse to think the familiar thought and letting it be. You feel the old familiar energy of anxiety begin to rise, and instead of letting it become the word worry, you simply observe the energy itself as a sensation in your body. You do not feed it a story. You do not give it a name. You let the initial sound die for lack of fuel. You let the first reflection fade because there is no object to sustain it. This is the art of non-engagement. It is radical. It is the opposite of everything we have been taught to do. It requires you to be willing to feel the discomfort of the initial energy without escaping into the familiar drama of the echo chamber. It is a courageous act of stillness. When the loop begins, you simply withdraw your attention. You anchor yourself in the reality of your breath flowing in and out. You anchor yourself in the sensation of aliveness in your feet on the floor. You bring your entire consciousness to the physical, sensory reality of the present moment, which is always silent, always neutral. The thought, deprived of your attention, of your belief, floats by like a cloud in the sky of your awareness. It is seen, but not followed. The echo chamber falls silent, not because you have destroyed it, but because you have stopped giving it a reason to make noise. To achieve this, to develop the strength to not engage, we require a new kind of inner resource. We cannot fight noise with more noise. We must introduce an element that absorbs sound. That element is a deep, conscious, intentional quiet. It is not the empty silence of absence, but the rich, full silence of pure presence. This is a form of inner wealth, a power that is more potent than any thought. This silence, this stillness, is not a void to be feared, but a currency to be cultivated. It is the most valuable resource in the entire economy of the soul, for it is the only thing that can truly buy your freedom from the tyranny of your own mind. We must now learn to acquire and spend this precious currency of stillness. You have stood at the edge of your mind's echo chamber and made a courageous choice. Not to shout back at the noise, not to fight the endless reflections, but to fall silent. You have discovered that the only antidote to the compulsive noise of thought is the withdrawal of your attention. To do this, to truly find freedom, you must cultivate a new inner resource, an element that absorbs sound rather than reflects it. We have called it a currency, the most valuable in the economy of your soul. This currency is stillness. But we must be very clear about what we mean by this word. In a world that worships noise, speed, and constant stimulation, stillness has been misunderstood. It has been equated with boredom, with emptiness, with nothingness, with death. We have been taught to fear it. When a moment of quiet arrives, we rush to fill it with a podcast, with music, with a new thought, with any distraction to avoid the perceived void. This is the great inversion of truth. Stillness is not empty. It is full. It is so full that it overflows with life itself, with a presence and a power that the noisy, thinking mind can never comprehend. Stillness is not the absence of something, it is the presence of everything. It is the foundational canvas upon which the entire painting of your experience is drawn. It is the deep, silent space of the night sky that allows the stars to reveal themselves. You cannot see the stars in the bright glare of the midday sun. The noise of that light obscures all subtler cosmic beauty. In the same way, you cannot perceive the subtle truths of your own being or the guidance of the universe amidst the bright, glaring noise of your ego mind. Stillness is the sacred dusk of the soul, the moment the ego's sun sets, allowing the infinite stars of wisdom, intuition, and peace to finally emerge and shine. Let us return to the image of the mind as a lake. For most of your life, the winds of desire, fear, judgment, and attachment have been blowing relentlessly across its surface. The water is choppy, turbulent, and full of waves. The sediment from the bottom-old pains, past traumas, buried beliefs is constantly churned up, making the water murky and opaque. When you look into this lake, what do you see? You see nothing but the lake's own disturbance. It cannot reflect the sky above. It cannot reveal the depths below. It is a closed system, reflecting only its own turmoil. This is the state of the unobserved mind, trapped in the echo chamber, agitated and unclear. Now, imagine you make the choice to cultivate stillness. This is like building a great wall of mountains around the lake, protecting it from the winds. The winds of compulsive thought begin to lose their power. The ripples on the surface, at first violent, begin to soften. The waves subside into gentle swells, and then, slowly, miraculously, the surface becomes calm. As the water settles, the sediment, the old pains and beliefs, gently drifts back down to the bottom. The water becomes crystal clear. And now, in this state of profound stillness, two magical things happen simultaneously. First, the surface of the lake becomes a perfect, flawless mirror. For the first time, it can accurately reflect what is above it, the vast, infinite blue sky of consciousness, the brilliant sun of pure awareness, the soft, passing clouds of thought, which are now seen for what they are, temporary and separate from the sky itself. In this stillness, you receive truth. You see reality as it is, undistorted by your own internal agitation. Insights that you struggled for years to grasp with the thinking mind now arrive effortlessly, reflected perfectly on the calm surface of your stilled consciousness. Second, because the water is now clear, you can see all the way to the bottom. You can observe the rocks, the plants, the hidden treasures that lie on the lakebed of your own psyche. You can see the patterns of your conditioning, the shape of your fears, the nature of your deepest attachments, but you see them from the calm surface. You are not stirred up with them. You can observe them with a compassionate detachment, understanding them without being consumed by them. This is the gift of self-knowledge. Stillness, then, is the key to both universal truth and personal clarity. It is the prerequisite for all genuine wisdom. This is why stillness is a currency. In the outer world, you trade your life force for money to acquire things you think will bring you peace. But in the inner world, you invest moments of stillness to acquire peace itself. It is a direct transaction. Every moment you consciously choose to be still, you are making a deposit into your account of inner wealth. 5 seconds of watching your breath without judgment is a gold coin. A minute of feeling the sun on your skin without a story is a diamond. These deposits accumulate. While the thinking mind believes it solves problems by worrying, by analyzing, by churning the waters of the lake, the wise soul knows that clarity only comes when the churning stops. You do not solve the problem of murky water by stirring it more frantically. You solve it by letting it be still. How do you earn this precious currency? You do not need to retreat to a monastery. You can become a master of stillness in the midst of your daily life. You find it in the gaps. It is in the microscopic pause between your inhalation and your exhalation. Dwell there for a second. That is a deposit. It is in the space between two thoughts. Notice it. That is a deposit. It is in the moment you finish speaking, just before the other person replies. It is in the conscious act of feeling the weight of your body on a chair. It is in looking at a tree and for a brief moment, not naming it tree, but simply seeing it, experiencing its being. These are your opportunities for investment. You are not adding a new practice to your life. You are discovering the sacred space that already exists within every moment, hidden just beneath the noise. When you begin to accumulate this currency, you become truly wealthy. You have a reserve of peace that you can draw upon when the storms of life inevitably arrive. You find that your intuition becomes sharper. The whisper of the soul is no longer drowned out by the shouting of the ego. It is heard clearly in the inner quiet you have cultivated. Your decisions become wiser, originating from a place of deep knowing rather than anxious calculation. You find your energy is no longer being drained away by the perpetual motion machine of the echo chamber. Stillness is not passive. It is the most potent form of regeneration. It is the charging station for your very being. As you spend more time by the shore of your now still lake, you begin to perceive something new. When the surface is like glass and the water is clear, and the noise of the wind has completely died away, you notice a subtle phenomenon. It is not on the surface. It is deeper. It is a feeling, a gentle hum, a subtle current flowing through the water itself. It is a resonance that you perceive not with your ears, but with your entire being. This is the foundational rhythm of existence, the hum of life that underlies all things. The stillness has not created it. The stillness has simply allowed you to finally perceive it. You have become so quiet that you can now feel the pulse of the universe in your own heart. You are beginning to sense the symphony of vibration. You have learned to sit by the shore of the still lake of your mind. You have earned the precious currency of stillness, and in that profound quiet, you have begun to perceive something new. A hum, a subtle current, a resonance that is felt, not heard. You may have dismissed it at first as a trick of the senses, but it persists. It is the first greeting from a deeper reality. For the mystics of all ages have known what your physicists are now beginning to prove with their equations and instruments, that at the heart of all solid matter, there is no solidity at all. At the base of the mountain, the stone, your very hand, there is only space and dance and energy, a grand cosmic vibration. You are not a solid object moving through an empty world. You are a shimmering field of energy, temporarily condensed into the beautiful, intricate pattern that you call your body, interacting with a universe that is also a vast, intelligent, and interconnected field of energy. The hum you feel in the stillness is your own soul recognizing this fundamental truth. It is the sound of you remembering that you are made of music. Everything in existence is a vibration. The chair you are sitting on, the light entering your room, the silent thought passing through your mind, each is a pattern of energy vibrating at a specific rate. We call this rate of vibration a frequency. Think of it as the notes on a limitless piano. At the low end of the keyboard, the notes are slow, dense, and heavy. As you move up the keyboard, the notes become faster, lighter, more ethereal. The physical world you perceive is simply a narrow band of frequencies that your five senses are equipped to interpret. A rock vibrates at a very slow, dense frequency which your sense of touch interprets as solid. Light vibrates at a much higher frequency, which your eyes interpret as color. Sound is a vibration your ears can decode. But beyond the tiny spectrum available to your senses, there exists an infinite range of frequencies, an unseen reality teeming with information and potential. You, as a conscious being, are not just subject to these vibrations. You are a generator of them. You are a broadcasting tower, constantly sending out a signal into the universe. And the specific frequency of your signal is determined moment by your emotional state. Your emotions are not just psychological reactions. They are direct, physical, vibrational indicators of your point of attraction. They are your personal frequency display. When you feel emotions like shame, guilt, or fear, feel their quality. They are heavy, dense, and contracting. They feel slow and sticky. They pull your energy field inward and downward. These are low-frequency vibrations. When you feel emotions like gratitude, joy, or love, notice their quality. They are light, expansive, and open. They feel fast and free. They cause your energy field to expand outward and upward. These are high-frequency vibrations. This is not a judgment. A low note on a piano is not worse than a high note. It is simply a different frequency with a different quality. However, understanding your own frequency is the key to understanding how you create your reality. This leads us to the grand metaphor that can illuminate your entire life. You are both an instrument and a musician in a vast cosmic orchestra. The universe itself is this orchestra, and it is perpetually playing a single, magnificent, and ever-evolving piece of music, the symphony of being. Within this orchestra, There are countless instruments, each one unique. One soul may be a cello, capable of producing tones of profound depth and soulful longing. Another may be a flute, its music ethereal, light, and joyful. Another might be a great drum, providing the steady, grounding rhythm of life. No instrument is better than another. All are necessary for the richness and complexity of the symphony. You are one of these divine instruments. Your purpose is not to try and become a different instrument, but to learn to play your own unique instrument with mastery and love. And how do you play your instrument? You play it with your emotions. Your emotional state is the way you tune your strings and adjust your pitch. The musician, the consciousness that plays the instrument, is youth watcher, the silent awareness. The problem is, for most of our lives, we have let the instrument play itself. We have allowed the random winds of circumstance and the chaotic noise of the echo chamber to vibrate our strings without any conscious intention. We have been tuned by our conditioning, by our wounds, by the opinions of others. And so, we often find ourselves tuned to a key we did not choose. Imagine your instrument has been tuned to the key of fear. The strings are tight with anxiety. The wood is cold with dread. From that state of being, you try to play the song of abundance. You say the words, "I am prosperous." You try to think the thoughts of wealth, but the notes that emerge from your instrument are dissonant, jarring, and out of tune. They are notes of fear, colored by a desperate wish for abundance. The universe, the great conductor, does not hear the name of the song you are trying to play. It hears the actual vibrational quality of the notes you are producing. It hears the fear. It senses the dissonance. And in its perfect, impersonal logic, it orchestrates circumstances that match that frequency of fear, bringing you more experiences that give you a reason to feel afraid. Now, imagine you change your tuning. You do not do this by forcing the instrument, but by gently adjusting the pegs. You choose to tune your instrument to the key of gratitude. You may still be in the same room with the same outer circumstances, but your inner state has shifted. The strings are now relaxed, resonant, and warm. From this state of being, even the simplest note you play is harmonious. It is rich, full, and beautiful. When you play the song of abundance from this tuning, the notes that emerge are genuine, coherent, and powerful. They vibrate with the feeling of already having enough, of appreciating what is. The universe hears this beautiful, coherent frequency. It recognizes the harmony, and it orchestrates circumstances, people, and ideas that resonate with that frequency, bringing you more experiences that give you a reason to feel grateful. This is the law of resonance. Like attracts like. Your emotional frequency is a magnet, drawing to you the very essence of what you are feeling, not what you are wanting. So how does one consciously change their tuning? It is not an act of will, but an act of gentle, loving attention. The first and most crucial step is to accept, without judgment, the note you are currently playing. If you are playing the deep, slow note of sadness, fighting it is futile. Fighting it is like a cello player hating the sound of their own instrument. It only creates more resistance and dissonance. The first step is to simply acknowledge, the note of sadness is playing through me now. You hold it in the compassionate space of the watcher. You listen to its quality. You honor it as a valid part of the human emotional spectrum. Once you have accepted the current note, you can introduce a new one. You do this by seeking a better feeling thought, a gentler vibration. The master tuning fork for the human instrument is appreciation. Even in a state of deep despair, you can almost always find one tiny thing to appreciate. The warmth of a blanket, the taste of clean water, the memory of a kind word. Find that one small thing and hold your attention there. Do not force it. Simply feel the tiny flicker of warmth it generates. That flicker is a new vibration. It is like striking a single, pure, high-frequency tuning fork in a room filled with low, rumbling noise. At first, it may seem insignificant, but the laws of physics are on your side. A coherent, high-frequency vibration is more powerful and influential than a chaotic, low-frequency one. As you hold your attention on that feeling of appreciation, its resonance begins to spread. It gently coaxes the other strings of your instrument to begin vibrating in harmony with it. Slowly, lovingly, you are retuning your entire being. You can aid this process through your physical body. Your body is the sounding board of your instrument. To change your note, you can change your posture, your breathing, your environment. Stand up tall and stretch. Breathe deeply into your belly. Put on a piece of music that you know uplifts your soul, and allow your body to move to its rhythm. Go into nature and simply observe the effortless harmony of a forest or an ocean. These are not distractions, they are vibrational medicine. You are consciously choosing to immerse your energy field in a higher frequency, making it easier for you to match that resonance internally. You are not fighting the old vibration. You are simply offering yourself a new, more harmonious one to lock onto. You are a symphony of vibration, a living song. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take is adding a note to your personal composition. The great work of your life is to become a conscious composer, to move from being an instrument played by circumstance to a master musician who plays their instrument with love, skill, and intention. You are broadcasting your song into the cosmos, every moment of every day. This song is a prayer, a request, a statement of being. It is the creative force of your life, and the universe, the great and loving conductor, is always listening. It doesn't listen to the words you plead with, but to the music you broadcast. It is a perfect and impartial mirror, reflecting back to you the symphony of your own soul. Realizing this, we must now ask the most important question. If the universe is always listening to our song, how does it show us what it has heard? It shows us in the mirror of our own reality. You are a living instrument in a cosmic orchestra, and your song is the vibration of your being. You have learned that the universe, the great conductor, is always listening. It doesn't hear the words you speak, but the music you broadcast. This is a pivotal understanding. It shifts you from being a passive observer of your life to a conscious participant in its creation. But this leads to the next profound question. How does the universe respond? What happens when your song, your vibrational signal, is received? The response is not a message sent back to you. It is not a reward or a punishment. The universe responds by becoming a perfect mirror, reflecting back to you the exact quality of the music you are creating. Your life, in its entirety, people, the circumstances, the challenges, and the joys, a flawless reflection of your inner state. The world is your mirror. At first, this principle can be understood in a simple way. Your inner state acts as a filter for your perception. If you awaken with a feeling of joy and openness, you tend to notice the beauty in the world. You notice the stranger who smiles, the kindness of a colleague, the beautiful color of the sky. The world seems to be cooperating with your joyful state. If you awaken with a feeling of anger and resentment, your perception narrows. You notice the driver who cuts you off, the rude comment, the endless reasons to be irritated. The world seems to be a hostile, frustrating place. On this level, the mirror simply reflects what you are looking for. You are the one choosing the lens through which you see reality, and reality graciously obliges by showing you what you expect to see. This is the first layer of the mirror, the most obvious one. But the principle goes much, much deeper. It is not just your perception that is reflected, it is your very reality. Imagine you are standing not in front of a single mirror, but in an infinite 360-degree hall of mirrors. This is your life. Every person you interact with is a mirror. Every situation you encounter is a mirror. Every challenge you face is a mirror. These mirrors are not always flat and perfect. Some are magnifying mirrors. They take a small, subtle aspect of your inner state and reflect it back to you in a huge, dramatic, and unavoidable way. Some are distorting mirrors, like those in a funhouse, reflecting your energy back in a strange or exaggerated form. But they are all, without exception, reflecting you. When you stand in the center of this hall and you smile, a genuine smile of peace and acceptance, the countless reflections all around you smile back. You encounter peace and acceptance in the world. When you stand in the center and you scowl with the energy of judgment and criticism, you are surrounded by 1,000 scowling faces. You see judgment and criticism everywhere you look. The world has not changed. Your broadcast has changed, and the mirrors simply and obediently reflect the new signal. This principle is most powerful and often most challenging when it comes to our relationships with others. The people who trigger us the most are our most important mirrors. When you find yourself intensely irritated, angered, or offended by someone's behavior, it is a sacred invitation to look within. The person's behavior is theirs, but your intense emotional reaction, your trigger is yours. The intensity of the trigger is a sign that the other person is mirroring something within you that is unhealed or unacknowledged. Perhaps their arrogance is mirroring a deep-seated insecurity you have about your own worth. Perhaps their perceived laziness is mirroring a part of you that desperately craves rest, a part you have repressed and judged as unproductive. This is the shadow self, those aspects of our psyche we have denied and pushed into the darkness. The universe will lovingly send people into our lives to act as mirrors for these shadow parts, not to punish us, but to give us an opportunity to see them, integrate them, and become whole. Your trigger is a gift. It is a signpost pointing directly to a part of you that is asking for healing. The mirror also works in the positive. When you deeply admire someone, when you are in awe of their courage, their creativity, or their compassion, they too are acting as a mirror. They are reflecting back to you your own highest potential. They are showing you the magnificent qualities that already exist within you, perhaps in seed form, waiting to be acknowledged and cultivated. You could not recognize that beauty in them if it did not also exist within you. The admiration you feel is the song of your own soul, recognizing itself in another. This principle extends beyond people and into the fabric of your circumstances. Look for the recurring patterns in your life. Are you constantly finding yourself in relationships that feel limiting? Do you repeatedly face financial lack, no matter how hard you work? Do you experience the same conflicts at every job? These are not a string of bad luck. These are persistent reflections. The universe is patiently holding up the same mirror, showing you the same reflection, because the core vibration you are broadcasting on that topic has not changed. The pattern will continue. The mirror will remain until you stop blaming the mirror for the reflection. The moment you turn your attention away from the unfair circumstances and inward toward the source of the broadcast, your own beliefs and feelings about love, worthiness, and abundance cease, the moment you begin to have the power to change the reflection. You cannot change your life by trying to rearrange the mirrors. You can only change your life by changing the self that is being reflected. To truly accept this can be daunting. As the reality of it dawns, the ego's first reaction is often one of immense fear and resistance. A voice may arise that says, "What? You mean all of this, the pain, the struggle, the hardship is my fault?" This can lead to a spiral of self-blame, which is just another low-frequency vibration. But the mirror principle is not about fault or blame. It is a neutral, loving law of physics, like gravity. It is about feedback and responsibility, not the heavy responsibility of blame, but the liberating responsibility of creative power. To realize that the world is your mirror is to realize that you are not a victim of circumstance. It is the end of powerlessness. However, the ego, in its fear, may try to seize this new knowledge as a tool for control. It may think, okay, if the world is my mirror, then I must control my every thought, force myself to be positive, and manage my every feeling to manipulate the reflection. This leads to a new kind of inner tyranny, You try to force a smile when you feel sorrow. You try to polish the mirror of your circumstances through frantic effort. You become a rigid manager of your own inner state, constantly on guard, constantly striving. This creates an enormous amount of tension and conflict. You are now at war not only with the reflections you don't like, but with yourself. This desperate need to control, born from the fear of this newfound responsibility, leads to an inevitable impasse. You realize that your own efforts to force reality are exhausting and often futile. And here, at the peak of this struggle, you are brought to the threshold of an even deeper wisdom. You are brought to the understanding that true power is not found in forceful control, but in the graceful, intelligent, and profoundly powerful act of letting go. You are ready to discover the great paradox of surrender. You stand in the great hall of mirrors that is your life, and the reflection you see is your own. The initial awe of this realization has given way to a heavy weight, the burden of responsibility. In response, the ego, the frightened manager of your identity, has sprung into action. It believes it has found the ultimate secret to life: control. It thinks, if my inner state creates my outer world, then I must seize control of my inner state. I must police every thought, force every feeling, and micromanage my vibration to engineer the perfect reflection. You begin to live with a white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel of your life. You resist any emotion that feels low vibration. You fight any circumstance that doesn't match your desire. You live in a state of constant, exhausting vigilance. This is the ego's grand strategy for happiness, and it is the direct path to suffering. Let us first be honest about this illusion of control. The amount of reality you can actually control is infinitesimally small. You cannot control the rhythm of the tides or the rising of the sun. You cannot control the global economy or the political climate. You cannot truly control the actions or feelings of another person, no matter how much you love them. You cannot even fully control your own body. It ages, it gets sick, it heals, all according to a wisdom far beyond your conscious command. Your next thought will arise in your mind, unbidden. Your heart will beat without your permission. The ego's quest for control is a declaration of war against the totality of the universe. It is one small, frantic wave trying to command the entire ocean. This struggle, this constant resistance to the natural, unpredictable, and majestic flow of life is the source of all your tension, all your anxiety, all your burnout. It is at the peak of this futile struggle, when your hands are raw from gripping the wheel and your soul is weary from the fight, that you are brought to the threshold of a profound spiritual secret. The secret is that true power is found not in the iron fist of control, but in the open palm of surrender. Now, the word surrender has been deeply misunderstood by the ego. The ego hears surrender and it thinks of defeat, of giving up, of weakness, of passivity, of becoming a doormat to life's whims. This is not the surrender we speak of. Spiritual surrender is not an act of weakness. It is the pinnacle of strength. It is not passive resignation. It is an act of intelligent and courageous trust. It is the conscious, deliberate release of your rigid attachment to how you think things should be, in favor of embracing what is. It is a profound yes to the present moment, no matter what form it takes, trusting that it is a necessary part of a larger, benevolent unfolding. Imagine you find yourself in a great, powerful river. Your goal is to get downstream. The ego's approach is to try and swim upstream, or to frantically swim faster than the current, believing it can conquer the river through sheer effort. You thrash, you struggle, you gasp for air. Your muscles burn with lactic acid. Your mind is filled with panic and the fear of drowning. You are so consumed by your fight against the water that you fail to notice the beautiful forest on the riverbanks, the warm sun on your face, or the eagle soaring in the sky above. Your entire reality has shrunk to the desperate struggle for control. This is the life of resistance. Surrender is the moment of wisdom when, exhausted and seeing the futility of the fight, you make a different choice. You decide to stop struggling. You let go. You turn over onto your back, release the tension from your limbs, and you float. You allow the great river to hold you, to support your weight. This is a terrifying moment for the ego, for it has lost control. But in that moment of letting go, something miraculous happens. You realize the river was never your enemy. It was always flowing downstream, in the very direction you wanted to go. And it has a power, a momentum, that is infinitely greater than your own. As you float, your perspective changes. You are no longer gasping for air. You are breathing deeply. You are no longer staring at the turbulent water. You are gazing at the infinite sky. You are conserving your strength, carried by a power much larger than yourself. This does not mean you become a lifeless log. This is where surrender reveals itself as an act of intelligence. While floating, you can use a gentle hand in the water as a rudder. You can navigate around a large rock or a fallen branch. You are working with the river, not against it. You are using its immense power and your own gentle wisdom in partnership. You trust the river's general direction while skillfully navigating the specifics of the journey. This is surrender. It is trusting the great flow of life to carry you toward your highest good, while using your conscious presence to navigate the present moment with grace and clarity. It is the perfect dance between trust and intention, between being and doing. In your daily life, surrender is the practice of discerning what is within your control and what is not, and then letting go of your resistance to what you cannot change. A difficult diagnosis arrives. The ego resists, shouting, "This shouldn't be happening." Surrender accepts the reality of the diagnosis, isness, of it which frees up all the energy of resistance and allows you to meet the challenge with a clear mind and a deeper strength. A relationship ends. The ego fights, replaying the past, bargaining with reality. Surrender grieves the loss, but accepts the ending with grace, trusting that this cleared space is necessary for a new chapter. You practice surrender when you accept the weather, when you accept the traffic, when you accept another person's choice, even if you don't like it. In every instance, you are releasing your war with reality. You are laying down your arms. When you do this, an incredible energetic shift occurs. The sheer amount of life force you were using to power your resistance to hold back the river, to keep your fists clenched, to maintain the illusion of control is immense. When you surrender, all of that energy is liberated. It is returned to you. It is no longer bound up in the frantic, fearful activity of the ego. It is now a vast, free-flowing reservoir of pure potential. This liberated energy is your true creative power. You have stopped being a dam fighting against the flow of universal energy, and you have become a clear channel through which that energy can move. You are no longer a victim of the current. You have become a partner with the river, and this is the birth of a new identity. You are no longer just an instrument being played. You are no longer just the musician trying to force a tune. You are becoming something more. You are ready to step into the role of the conscious co-creator. You have floated in the great river of life, and in that surrender, you have found its power. You have laid down the weapons of resistance, and in the ensuing peace, you have discovered a vast reservoir of energy that was once wasted on the futile fight for control. This liberated energy now hums within you, a silent, potent force. The question we must now ask is, what is this energy for? It is not merely for rest or for peace. It is the raw material of creation itself. Having moved from being a victim of circumstance to the silent watcher, you are now invited to take the next, most significant step in your evolution. You are invited to move from being a passive observer to an active and conscious creator. You are ready to learn the art of co-creating with consciousness. For most of human history, we have lived under the spell of victim consciousness. This is the belief that life happens to us. We see ourselves as small, fragile beings at the mercy of a vast, indifferent, and often hostile universe. Circumstances are done to us. People hurt us. The world imposes its will upon us. From this perspective, Life is a defensive game of reacting, protecting, and surviving. This is the consciousness of powerlessness. But the truths you have uncovered on this journey, that the world is your mirror, that your vibration shapes your reality, shatter this illusion. They reveal a new possibility, creator, consciousness. This is the understanding that life happens through you and as you. You are not a victim of the world. You are a focal point through which the creative energy of the universe takes form. Your consciousness is the lens that focuses the infinite light of potential into a specific, tangible reality. This is not a philosophy. It is the fundamental operating principle of the cosmos. To grasp this, let us use a powerful metaphor. Imagine that the universe, in its pure, unmanifested state, is like an infinite supply of intelligent, responsive clay. It is quantum potential, formless and willing. This clay can become anything. It has no preference. It can be shaped into a beautiful vase, a fearsome gargoyle, or a formless lump. It simply waits for the touch of the artist. You, your consciousness, are the artist. Your dominant thoughts, your deepest beliefs, and most importantly, your prevailing emotional state, combine to create the mold into which this universal clay is poured. For most of our lives, we have been unconscious artists. We have been unaware of the mold we are holding. Our mold has been shaped by the random debris of our past, the fears of the echo chamber, the wounds of our sacred scars, the limiting beliefs passed down to us by our culture and family. We hold up a chaotic, misshapen, and internally contradictory mold that says, I want love, but also I am unworthy of it. A mold that says, I want abundance, but also there is never enough. And then we are shocked and disappointed when the universal clay flows into this mold and produces a chaotic, misshapen, and contradictory life. We blame the clay. We say the universe is unfair, that life is hard. We never realize that the clay has perfectly and flawlessly executed the blueprint we gave it. It has given us exactly what we, on the deepest level of our being, have been asking for. The conscious co-creator is the artist who awakens to this process. The first act of a conscious artist is not to grab more clay, but to prepare the mold. You turn your attention inward. You look at the beliefs you hold. You feel the emotions you are broadcasting. You become exquisitely aware of the vibrational blueprint you are offering to the universe. You do not do this with judgment, but with the dispassionate eye of a master craftsperson, checking the integrity of their tools. You see a limiting belief, I am not good enough, and you recognize it not as a truth, but as a flaw in the mold that will produce a flawed result. You then begin the work of gently reshaping that mold, of healing that belief, of choosing a new one. The most crucial element of your creative power is feeling. The mold is not just a mental image, it is a vibrational reality. This is why mere positive thinking is often ineffective. You can stand before the clay and repeat the words, I am a beautiful vase, but if you feel like a formless lump, the clay will respond to the feeling, not the words. Feeling is the language of the universe. It is the magnetic force that commands the energy to take form. The art of co-creation, therefore, is the art of generating the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You do not try to create abundance to get the feeling of security. You cultivate the feeling of security first, and allow that vibration to attract the form of abundance. You do not seek a relationship to get the feeling of love. You cultivate the feeling of love and wholeness within yourself first, and that coherent broadcast draws to you a relationship that mirrors it. You become the artist who can feel the smooth, cool surface of the finished vase even when their hands are still empty. This feeling state, held with gentle conviction, is the irresistible command that shapes the willing clay. This requires you to trust your inner world more than the outer one. When you begin this work, the Hall of Mirrors will continue to reflect your old reality for a time. There is a buffer, a delay. You may be cultivating the feeling of abundance, but the bank account still looks the same. You may be cultivating the feeling of love, but you are still sleeping alone. This is the great test. The ego will point to the outer mirror and scream, "See, it's not working. This is all nonsense. You are still a formless lump." It will tempt you to drop your new vision and revert to the old, familiar mold of your past suffering. The conscious creator is the one who can look at the current reflection, acknowledge it without resistance, and yet continue to hold the feeling of their new creation with unwavering, gentle faith. You must fall in love with your vision, with your feeling state, and be more loyal to it than you are to the evidence of your senses. This brings us to a vital point of discernment. If our feelings and visions are the tools of creation, how do we know which visions to pursue? How do we distinguish between a true soul-inspired desire and a needy, grasping desire of the ego? The ego's desires are always rooted in lack. It wants a new car to feel worthy. It wants a partner to feel less lonely. It wants money to quell its fear. These creations, even if they manifest, rarely bring lasting peace because they are built on a foundation of fear. The soul's desires, however, feel different. They arise from a place of inspiration, joy, and expansion. They are not about filling a hole, but about expressing a fullness that is already present. The vision feels exciting, alive, and true, regardless of whether it ever manifests. Holding it is its own reward. To be a true master artist of your life, you must learn to distinguish between these two voices. You must learn to discern the frantic scream of the ego from the quiet, confident whisper of the soul. You have awakened to your power as a conscious co-creator. You understand that your feeling state is the mold that shapes the willing clay of the universe. This is the secret to living a life of intention and grace. But this new power brings with it a new and crucial challenge, the challenge of discernment. Now that you know you are an artist, you must decide what to create. You must choose a vision to hold. From where does this vision arise? Two powerful forces within you are constantly vying for the role of creative director, the ego and the soul. To create a life of peace, authenticity, and true fulfillment, you must learn to distinguish the frantic, demanding scream of the ego from the quiet, steady whisper of the soul. This is the most vital perceptive skill you will ever develop. Let us first learn to recognize the voice of the ego. The ego is the conditioned mind, the phantom self built from past experiences and future fears. Its primary motivation is survival and self-enhancement, both of which are rooted in a deep-seated feeling of lack and separation. The ego's voice has distinct characteristics. First, it is loud and urgent. It screams with a sense of emergency. It creates pressure, anxiety, and a feeling that you must act now or face dire consequences. It is the voice that says, "You have to solve this problem immediately," or, "If you don't seize this opportunity, you will miss out forever." This manufactured urgency is a hallmark of the ego. It thrives on drama and crisis. Second, the ego's voice is always rooted in fear. It may disguise itself as ambition or prudence, but if you trace its logic back to the source, you will always find fear. It fears not being good enough, not having enough, not being loved enough. It is the voice that drives you to seek a promotion not for the joy of the work, but for the fear of being seen as insignificant. It pushes you toward a relationship, not out of a genuine connection, but out of the fear of being alone. It obsesses over money not for the freedom it can provide, but for the fear of scarcity. Fear is the fuel that powers the ego's engine. Third, the ego speaks the language of comparison. It is fundamentally incapable of seeing you as a unique, sovereign being. It can only understand your value in relation to others. Its inner monologue is a constant stream of measurement. Am I better than them? Am I worse than them? Do I have more? Do I have less? Am I as successful, as beautiful, as intelligent as they are? This comparative mindset is the source of all jealousy, envy, and pride. It locks you into a competitive worldview, where someone else's success feels like your failure, and your success requires another's defeat. Finally, the ego's promises are always conditional. It offers you peace, but only in the future, after you have met its demands. You will be happy when you get the new house. You will feel at peace once you resolve this conflict. You will be worthy if you achieve that goal. For the ego, fulfillment is always just around the corner, a prize to be won through struggle and achievement. It can never deliver peace in the present moment, because its very existence depends on striving, wanting, and the perpetual state of becoming. It is the voice of the eternal seeker, the one who never arrives. Now, let us learn to recognize the whisper of the soul. The soul, your true self, is the timeless, formless awareness that watches the ego's drama. It is already whole, complete, and at peace. Its voice has characteristics that are the polar opposite of the ego's. First, it is quiet and calm. It does not scream. It whispers. It does not create pressure. It offers a sense of spaciousness. It is a gentle nudge, a subtle feeling of rightness, an intuitive knowing that arises in the moments of stillness you have learned to cultivate. It is infinitely patient. It knows there is no emergency. It trusts the timing of the universe. Second, the soul's voice is always rooted in love and expansion. Its guidance does not come from a place of fear or lack, but from a desire for your own authentic expression and growth. It will guide you toward that which makes you feel more alive, more open, more connected, more genuinely you. It might guide you toward a challenging path, but the underlying motivation is not to avoid a feared outcome, but to embrace a more expansive version of yourself. The soul is not interested in your survival. It is interested in your blossoming. Third, the soul speaks in absolutes of being. It has no interest in comparison. It sees your intrinsic, incomparable value. It does not measure you against anyone else. Its guidance is not about being better than, but about being more truly me. Its communications feel like simple, self-evident truths. The guidance is not a complex, logical argument. It is a clear, simple resonance. This is my path. This is the truth for me. This is the next right step. Ezra. Finally, the soul's guidance is unconditional. It offers peace right now, in the very act of listening to it. Aligning with the soul's whisper brings an immediate sense of relief and rightness, even if the path ahead is uncertain. The feeling of peace is not a future reward. It is the immediate confirmation that you are aligned with your true north. The soul does not say you will be worthy when. The soul whispers, you are worthy now. You are love now. You are whole now. End of. Imagine you are in a small boat on a dark and stormy sea. This is your life in the hands of the ego. The waves are the ego's voice. They are loud, chaotic, and immediate. They crash against the hull, demanding your attention, splashing in your face, making you feel unstable, disoriented, and afraid. Your focus is entirely on the chaos right in front of you. But out in the distance, standing on the unshakable shore of your true nature, is a lighthouse. This is your soul. The lighthouse is silent. It does not compete with the noise of the waves. It simply emits a steady, powerful, and unwavering beam of light. It is a constant, reliable point of reference. To find your way, you must make a conscious choice to lift your gaze beyond the immediate, crashing waves of the ego and search the horizon for the quiet, dependable light. At first, you may only catch glimpses of it between the towering waves. But the more you choose to look for it, the more you learn to trust it. It becomes your unfailing guide, showing you the way home. The practice of discernment, then, is the practice of creating enough inner stillness to look past the waves. It is pausing when you feel the ego's frantic urgency and asking, what is the true motivation here? Is it fear, or is it love? It is choosing to trust the quiet feeling of expansion over the loud feeling of contraction. As you practice this, you will begin to notice a consistent theme in the soul's whisper. The ego always points outward, telling you what you need to get, fix, or achieve in the world to be okay. But the soul's whisper always, in its myriad of forms, points you back inward. It consistently guides you away from the illusion that you are broken and need fixing. It continuously reminds you of a truth you have forgotten. It whispers that the search for wholeness is over, because you were never anything but whole to begin with. You have learned to stand in the eye of the storm, to distinguish the steady, guiding light of the soul from the chaotic, crashing waves of the ego. And as you have practiced listening, you have noticed a recurring, foundational message whispered in the quiet moments. The ego constantly screams that you are lacking, that you must strive, achieve, and acquire in order to become worthy. But the soul, in its infinite wisdom, always whispers a single, revolutionary truth. You are already there. You are already whole. This statement is so simple, so profound, that the mind, trained in complexity and problem-solving, may initially reject it. It feels too easy. It contradicts a lifetime of conditioning that has told you that you are fundamentally broken and in need of fixing. This is the great spiritual misunderstanding, the central paradox of the path. We engage in meditation, in healing, in self-development, all with the subtle, underlying assumption that we are trying to build a better self, to repair a flawed original. We treat our consciousness like a dilapidated house that needs extensive renovation. But this very approach, however well-intentioned, reinforces the primary illusion that you are the house. You are not the house. You are the indestructible foundation and the infinite land upon which the house is built. The spiritual journey is not a journey of construction. It is a journey of excavation. It is not about becoming more. It is about unbecoming everything that is not you, so that the magnificent truth of what you have always been can finally be revealed. Let us examine this pervasive feeling of being broken. Where did it come from? It is a story, a powerful and hypnotic story that you have been told, and have told yourself for so long that you have mistaken it for reality. Its roots run deep. It is nourished by the misinterpretation of your sacred scars, which you were taught to see as evidence of your flaws rather than testaments to your resilience. It is amplified day after day by the echo chamber of your mind, which compulsively replays old stories of inadequacy and failure until they form the very soundtrack of your life. And most profoundly, the feeling of brokenness is the ego's primary survival strategy. The ego, as a separate sense of self, can only exist in a state of striving. It needs problems to solve, flaws to fix, and goals to achieve. Your inherent wholeness is a direct threat to its existence. If you were to fully realize your own completeness, the ego's role as a frantic manager and seeker would become obsolete. And so, it works tirelessly to convince you of your own insufficiency. Your feeling of being broken is not a reflection of your true nature. It is a symptom of the ego's desperate need to maintain control. The most powerful metaphor to understand this is that of a golden statue. Imagine that at the core of your being, you are a magnificent statue made of pure, solid gold. Your substance is radiant, perfect, and of immeasurable intrinsic value. This is your true nature, your soul, your Atman, your Christ consciousness. The name does not matter. This golden essence is who you truly are. Now, imagine that from the moment of your birth, this golden statue has been exposed to the elements of the world. As a child, the mud of your parents' fears, beliefs, and unhealed wounds was caked onto your surface. As you grew, the mud of cultural conditioning was added layers of what you should be, how you should look, what you should achieve to be considered valuable. Then came the thick, sticky mud of your own painful experiences, the traumas, the heartbreaks, the failures which clung to you as shame, guilt, and fear. Over decades, layer upon layer of this mud has accumulated until the golden statue is completely obscured. It is so thoroughly covered that it has forgotten its own nature. It looks at its muddy exterior, feels its weight, its coarseness, its dullness, and it comes to a sorrowful conclusion: I am mud. It identifies completely with its conditioning, its wounds, and its beliefs. From this place of mistaken identity, you begin the project of self-improvement. But you are working on the wrong problem. You try to improve the mud. You try to paint it a more pleasing color with positive affirmations. You try to add glitter to it by acquiring possessions and accomplishments. You try to reshape it, to smooth out the lumps and bumps through sheer force of will. You might even become a very shiny, well-shaped piece of mud, but you are still identified with the mud, and you still feel its inherent heaviness and fragility. True spiritual work is a radical departure from this approach. It is the process of gently applying the pure water of consciousness to the hardened mud. It is not a violent scrubbing or a judgmental chipping away. It is a patient and loving act of recognition. Every time you bring the light of the watcher to a conditioned thought pattern, you are pouring water on the mud. Every time you meet a painful emotion with presence and acceptance instead of resistance, the water is softening a layer. Each time you recognize a limiting belief, "I am unworthy," not as a truth about you, but as an impersonal layer of mud you have been carrying, that layer begins to dissolve and wash away. Your work is not to create the gold. You could not create it if you tried. Your work is simply and profoundly to wash away the mud. The gold has been there all along, untouched, unharmed, and patiently waiting to be revealed in its original brilliant splendor. This golden nature, this inherent wholeness, has specific qualities that are your birthright. They are not things you need to acquire, but truths to be realized. The first is inherent worth. Your value is not conditional. It is not determined by your productivity, your appearance, your bank account, or the opinions of others. You are not worthy because you are a good person or a successful person. You are worthy because you are. Your worth is as intrinsic and unconditional as the worth of a star, of the ocean, of life itself. It is a given. It can be obscured by the mud of self-doubt, but it can never be diminished or destroyed. The second quality is inherent wisdom. You are not an empty vessel that needs to be filled with knowledge from the outside. Within you, accessible in the stillness, is the quiet whisper of the soul. This is a direct line to a knowing that transcends intellect. It is the intelligence that knows how to heal a cut, how to grow a tree, how to orbit a planet. This intuitive wisdom is your infallible guide. You do not need to seek answers. You need to cultivate the silence in which the answers that are already there can be heard. The third quality is inherent love. The most tragic misunderstanding is that you are a being who needs to get love. The truth is that your very substance, the gold of your being, is love itself. You are a manifestation of love, created by love. The love you seek from others is merely a reflection of the infinite love that is your own essence. When you wash away the mud of fear and past hurts, you do not find a void that needs to be filled. You discover a wellspring of love that can flow out into the world. Your purpose is not to find love, but to be the source of it. And finally, there is inherent peace. The peace you long for is not at the end of some long and arduous journey. It is not the prize you win after you have solved all your problems and perfected your life. Peace is the very nature of the golden statue. It is the silent, unshakable background of your being. It is what is revealed when the noise of the mud, the anxious thoughts, the fearful emotions is washed away. Peace is your default setting. When you begin to live from this realization of wholeness, your entire orientation to life changes. Life ceases to be a desperate quest to fill a perceived inner void. It becomes a joyful opportunity to express the fullness that is already within you. Your actions are no longer driven by the needy energy of getting, but by the abundant energy of expressing. You no longer exercise to fix a body you dislike. You move your body to celebrate the miracle of its aliveness. You no longer enter relationships to cure your loneliness. You connect with another to share the love that you already are. You no longer work to prove your worth to the world. You engage in your work as a creative expression of your unique gifts. The question is no longer, what can I get from life? but rather, what does the wholeness within me wish to express through this life? And this sacred expression, this act of living from your golden core, begins with the most simple, constant, and profound act of your existence. It begins with the rhythm that connects your inner world to the outer, the physical manifestation of your very being. It begins with your breath. You are a golden statue, momentarily forgotten beneath the mud of conditioning and fear. Your spiritual work is not to create the gold, but to gently wash away the mud with the water of your own awareness. This journey of unbecoming, of returning to your inherent wholeness, is not a grand, abstract project. It is a practice, a moment-to-moment choice, and it begins with the most simple, intimate, and powerful force of your existence: your breath. Your breath is the physical expression of your wholeness. It is the constant, rhythmic evidence that you are alive, that you are a part of this universe, that you are being sustained by a power greater than your ego. It is the song of your life force, a song that has been playing since the moment of your birth, and one to which you have rarely listened. For most of your life, the breath has been an unconscious, autonomic function. Over 20,000 times a day, the gift of life has flowed in and out of your body, unnoticed and unappreciated. It has been the silent, loyal servant that has kept you alive while your mind was lost in the echo chamber, wrestling with the past and fearing the future. The first step in living from your wholeness is to turn your attention to this overlooked miracle, to take the breath off of autopilot and to place it in the gentle embrace of your awareness. This simple act is profoundly transformative. It is a shift from taking life for granted to consciously receiving it. With every conscious inhalation, you are saying yes to the gift of being. With every conscious exhalation, you are releasing what no longer serves. It is the simplest and most powerful meditation there is. The breath is your anchor to the now. It is the one thing that can never exist in the past or in the future. You cannot breathe yesterday's breath, nor can you breathe tomorrow's. To be aware of your breathing is to be rooted, by definition, in the present moment. Your mind is a masterful time traveler. It loves to journey back to the graveyards of regret or forward into the fog of anxiety. The breath is your incorruptible anchor that prevents the ship of your awareness from drifting into these phantom realms. When you feel the pull of an old story, a familiar worry, or a surge of emotion, the instruction is always the same. Return to the breath. Feel the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, cool and fresh. Follow it as it fills your lungs. Notice the subtle pause at the peak of the inhalation, and then follow it out again as your body releases and lets go. In these few seconds, you have performed a miracle. You have unhooked your consciousness from the drama of the mind and re-anchored it in the truth of the body, in the reality of the now. Let us explore a deeper metaphor. The breath is a living bridge. On one side of the bridge is the tangible, physical world of your body. The breath has a direct and immediate effect on your physiology. When you are afraid, your breath becomes shallow and rapid, signaling your nervous system to enter a state of fight or flight. When you are at peace, your breath is slow, deep, and rhythmic, signaling your nervous system that you are safe. By consciously choosing to breathe slowly and deeply, you can speak directly to your body in its own language, calming it from the inside out. You can soothe your own primal fears simply by elongating your exhalation. This side of the bridge is your connection to the earth, to your grounded, human form. On the other side of the bridge is the intangible, formless world of spirit. In many ancient traditions, the word for breath and the word for spirit are one and the same. In Sanskrit, it is prana. In Hebrew, ruach. In Latin, spiritus. These traditions understood that the breath is not just air, it is life force. It is the invisible energy, the animating spirit that infuses the clay of your body. It is the physical manifestation of the formless consciousness that you are. This side of the bridge is your connection to the sky, to the infinite, to your divine nature. The act of conscious breathing is the act of walking across this sacred bridge. It is the practice of unifying the physical and the spiritual, the form and the formless, the human and the divine within your own being. As you feel the physical sensation of the air, the body, you are simultaneously aware of the silent presence that is feeling it, the spirit. In the center of this bridge, you experience true integration. You are not just a body that breathes, nor are you a spirit that is separate from the body. You are the unified wholeness of embodied consciousness. To stand on this bridge is to stand in your power, fully present and fully alive. This anchor, this bridge, also serves as a powerful tool for alchemy. When difficult emotions arise, the heat of anger, the cold stone of grief or instinct is to resist them, to tense up against them. The breath offers another way. You can choose to breathe into the emotion. This is a profound practice. You locate the primary sensation of the emotion in your body, perhaps a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, and then you gently and consciously direct your breath toward that sensation. Imagine your breath is a warm, healing current of liquid light. With each inhalation, you are sending this light into the dense, contracted energy of the emotion. With each exhalation, you are creating space around it, allowing it to soften, to move, to release its grip. You are not trying to get rid of the feeling. You are meeting it with the most powerful healing force you possess, your loving, conscious presence, carried on the rhythm of your breath. This is the practice of surrender in its most intimate form. Now, from this place of centered, embodied presence, you are finally in the perfect position to engage in conscious creation. Anchored in the now, your mind is no longer scattered across the timeline of past and future. Grounded in the body, your emotional energy is calm and coherent. You are no longer trying to plant seeds in the middle of a hurricane. You have arrived in the eye of the storm. You have found the deep, silent, fertile ground of the present moment. This is the only place from which true creation can occur. To plant a seed for a new future, you must first be firmly rooted in the soil of the now. From this anchored state, you can begin to introduce a new intention, a new vision, a new feeling. You are no longer a desperate seeker, but a grounded creator. The question now becomes, what is the nature of this inner soil? If you are to plant a seed of intention, what determines whether that seed will find fertile ground or barren rock? The quality of the soil is determined by the deepest layer of your consciousness, the potent, invisible, and powerful matrix of your belief. You are anchored in the calm, vibrant reality of the now, tethered to the present moment by the sacred rhythm of your breath. From this place of centered power, you are ready to become the conscious artist of your life, to plant a seed of intention for a new reality. But even the most miraculous seed, pregnant with the potential for a beautiful flower or a mighty tree, is useless if it is cast upon barren rock. A seed requires soil. It requires a receptive, nourishing environment in which to germinate, take root, and grow. In the inner world of creation, the soil into which you plant your seeds of intention is the rich, deep, and often unexamined matrix of your beliefs. What is a belief? It is far more than a fleeting thought. A belief is a thought that has been watered with repetition and energized with emotion until it has sunk deep beneath the surface of your conscious mind. It has become a root structure in your subconscious. It is a conclusion about the nature of reality, about yourself, and about your relationship to the world that you have come to accept as absolute truth. These beliefs form the invisible operating system of your life. They run in the background, silently filtering every perception, informing every decision, and dictating every automatic emotional reaction. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as your beliefs are. Most of these core beliefs were not consciously chosen by you. They were installed in your early childhood, downloaded from your parents, your culture, your religion, and your early life experiences. A child who is consistently criticized may install the core belief, "I am not good enough." A child who witnesses constant struggle may install the core belief, life is hard. A child who experiences conditional affection may install the belief, I must perform to be loved. These foundational beliefs, the world is dangerous, I am unworthy, love is scarce, I don't belong, become the very soil of your being. Feel the quality of these beliefs. They are dense, heavy, and contracting. They are the toxic, acidic soil in which only the weeds of fear, doubt, and limitation can thrive. Now, imagine you, the gardener of your mind, decide to plant a beautiful new seed. The seed is a conscious intention. I want to create a loving, trusting relationship. You plant this seed with hope, but the soil it lands in is made of the core belief, I am unworthy of love and people can't be trusted. What happens to that seed? It is planted in a hostile environment. The soil offers it no nourishment. The roots of the seed cannot find purchase in the hard, rocky ground of cynicism. The acidic nature of the unworthiness belief poisons the tender sprout before it can even break the surface, and so the intention fails. And the ego, the voice of the old belief system, says, see, I told you so. Love isn't possible for you. The failed intention is then used as further proof to validate the limiting belief, making the soil even more toxic for the next seed. This is the cycle of unconscious creation, the reason why so many of our dreams and affirmations wither on the vine. We focus all our attention on the seed, while completely ignoring the quality of the soil. The conscious co-creator understands that their primary work is not planting more and more seeds, but tending to the soil itself. You must become a master gardener of your own inner landscape. This means you must have the courage to get your hands dirty, to examine the composition of your soil. This is the work of radical self-inquiry. You begin to question the thoughts you have always taken for granted. You ask yourself, is it absolutely true that life is a struggle? Can I find any evidence to the contrary? Is it an undeniable fact that I am unworthy? Or is that just a story I learned? You begin to pull out the obvious weeds, the surface-level negative thoughts one by one. Then, you begin the deeper work of aerating the soil, of breaking up the hard, compacted ground of your core beliefs. This is done by consciously choosing and installing new, empowering beliefs. These are the nutrients you add to the soil. You choose to practice the belief that the universe is benevolent and supportive. You choose to affirm and act from the belief that I am inherently worthy of love exactly as I am. You choose to embody the belief that I am a powerful creator and my needs are always met. At first, these new beliefs feel foreign, like unnatural additives to the old soil. But as you repeat them, as you look for evidence to support them, as you infuse them with a high-frequency feeling of gratitude and trust, they begin to integrate. They slowly, patiently change the pH of your consciousness from acidic to alkaline, from toxic to fertile. In this rich, fertile soil of self-worth and trust, your seeds of intention can finally flourish. When you plant the seed of a loving relationship in soil composed of I am whole and deserving of love, the seed finds a welcoming home. It is nourished, its roots sink deep. It grows strong and vibrant, effortlessly, because its environment supports its becoming. Your beliefs are the silent, invisible force that determines your vibrational set point. They are the tuning pegs on your instrument. They are the foundational assumptions upon which your entire hall of mirrors is built. They are the blueprint you give to the universal clay. Tending to the soil of your beliefs is the most fundamental creative act you can engage in. But this is not always easy work. Uprooting a simple weed is one thing. Excavating a deep, foundational belief system is another entirely. These core beliefs are not just ideas. They are emotionally charged structures, protected by powerful defense mechanisms. They feel like you. To question a belief like, I am unlovable, can feel like you are questioning the very foundation of your identity. Furthermore, many of our most limiting beliefs were created as survival strategies for a younger version of ourselves. The belief, it's not safe to be seen, may have been forged in a childhood environment where being visible was dangerous. To the inner child, this belief feels like a suit of armor. To try and remove it can feel terrifying, like you are trying to strip away its only protection. To truly change the soil of your mind, you cannot simply work on the surface. You must be willing to go deeper. You must be willing to journey into the dark, hidden cellar of your psyche where these beliefs were first forged. You must be willing to meet the pain, the fear, and the trauma that created them in the first place. This is not a journey to be feared, but one to be taken with great courage and compassion. For in this darkness, you will not find monsters. You will find the lost, wounded, and disowned parts of yourself that are crying out for the light of your awareness. To truly heal your beliefs, you must be willing to embrace your own shadow. You have stood before the garden of your mind, understanding that the quality of your soil determines the fate of your every intention. You have seen that this soil is made of your deepest beliefs, and you have realized, with a courageous heart, that to cultivate a new reality, you must be willing to dig. You have felt the resistance that arises when you question a core limiting belief, the fear that tells you to leave the compacted earth undisturbed. That fear is a gatekeeper. It guards the entrance to the deeper chambers of your psyche, the shadowed cellar where these beliefs were first forged in the darkness of pain and misunderstanding. To create a truly fertile ground for your life, you must be willing to take the lantern of your awareness and walk down those steps. You must be willing to meet and embrace your own shadow. The word shadow can sound ominous, as if you are about to encounter some inner monster. But the shadow is not evil. It is not a demon to be exorcised. The shadow is, quite simply, all the parts of yourself that you have disowned. It is a psychological term for the aspects of your being that you were taught were unacceptable. As a child, you were a whole, authentic creature. You expressed your anger, your joy, your sadness, your needs, freely and without shame. But you quickly learned that to receive love, safety, and approval, certain parts of you were welcome and others were not. Perhaps your anger was punished, so you pushed it into the shadow. Perhaps your vulnerability was seen as weakness, so you hid it away. Perhaps your creative, chaotic nature was criticized, so you suppressed it in favor of being good and orderly. To survive and belong, you crafted a persona, socially acceptable mask hand. Everything that did not fit that mask was relegated to the cellar of your unconscious. The more polished and perfect your outer mask, the larger and more densely packed your inner shadow becomes. The shadow does not simply lie dormant in the cellar. The energy of these disowned parts is alive and active, and it seeks expression. Because it is denied a conscious outlet, it finds unconscious ones. Its primary method of expression is projection. We project our own denied shadow qualities onto the people around us, and then we react to them with intense, irrational emotion. The man who has disowned his own vulnerability will be filled with contempt for what he sees as weakness in other men. The woman who has suppressed her own anger will be disproportionately enraged by the assertive, boundary-setting behavior of a female colleague. The people who trigger you most intensely, the ones who get under your skin in a way that feels almost personal, are your most valuable teachers. They are living mirrors, reflecting back to you the parts of yourself you have refused to own. Your intense reaction is not about them. It is the cry of your own exiled shadow part, recognizing itself and begging to be seen. The shadow also expresses itself through self-sabotage. You set a conscious intention to be disciplined and healthy, but you find yourself in a moment of stress, inexplicably binging on junk food. That is the shadow part you have shamed for its desire for pleasure and comfort, finally bursting out. You want a loving relationship, but you find yourself pushing away anyone who gets too close. That is the shadow part that holds the terror of abandonment, sabotaging intimacy to protect you from a pain it believes is inevitable. These are not signs of your weakness or your failure. They are the desperate, clumsy attempts of your disowned parts to get your attention. The most compassionate way to understand this is to see your shadow not as a concept, but as a collection of lost inner children. Imagine when you were 5 years old, you had a fit of rage. An adult, unable to handle your big emotion, shamed you and sent you to your room. In that moment, to survive, you made a decision. Anger is bad. I must never be angry again. And so, you took that fiery, powerful 5-year-old part of you and locked him in the cellar. You did the same with the vulnerable child who cried too much and the selfish child who asked for what it needed. Your psyche is populated by these abandoned children, locked in the dark, frozen at the age they were exiled. For years you have tried to ignore their cries. When they bang on the cellar door, creating a baseline of anxiety in your life, you turn up the volume on your distractions. When they scream in a fit of rage, causing an emotional outburst, you judge yourself harshly and promise to be more in control next time, effectively punishing the screaming child even more. But this approach only deepens the wound. The only path to true inner peace and wholeness is to turn toward the noise. It is to take the lantern of your most compassionate adult awareness, open the cellar door, and walk down the stairs. You sit with that terrified, raging child. You do not judge it. You do not try to fix it. You simply witness it. You listen to its story. You look it in the eyes and say, I see you. I hear you. I understand why you are so angry. You had a right to be. I am so sorry I left you here alone for so long. You are not bad. You are a part of me, and you are welcome to come upstairs now. You belong. In this act of loving, conscious integration, the child's frantic energy begins to calm. Its screams soften into sobs, and its sobs soften into peace. It feels seen, loved, and safe for the first time. This is the sacred art of reparenting yourself. This is embracing your shadow. This journey into the shadow is not just about healing wounds. It is also about reclaiming your power. For when you cast a part of yourself into the darkness, you also cast away the unique gift that part possesses. Hidden in your disowned anger is the gold of your personal boundaries, your passion, and your courage to speak truth to power. Hidden in your disowned grief is the gold of your capacity for profound empathy and human connection. Hidden in your disowned selfishness is the gold of your ability for radical self-care and honoring your own needs. Hidden in your repressed sensuality is the gold of your vitality, your creativity, and your ability to experience the deep joy of being in a body. The shadow is a treasure trove of your lost life force. When you go down into the cellar and embrace that lost child, you return with its treasure. You reintegrate that lost energy into your being. The psychic energy that was being used to suppress the shadowy, enormous, constant drain on your system is liberated. It comes flooding back into your life as vitality, as creativity, as power. You become more whole, more authentic, and more fully alive. And as this liberated, golden energy returns to your heart, it gives rise to a new, spontaneous feeling. It is a feeling of profound gratitude. You feel grateful not in spite of your wounds, but because of them, for they initiated this sacred journey of retrieval. You feel grateful for the darkness that held your lost treasures. You feel grateful for your own courage to finally face it. This overwhelming feeling of gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion, it is a force of nature. It is the most powerful tool of alchemy you possess. You have walked the courageous path into your own inner darkness, and you have returned with your lost treasures. By embracing the disowned parts of yourself, the abandoned children in your psychic cellar, you have reclaimed the precious, vital energy that was locked away with them. This liberated life force now flows through you, not as a trickle, but as a river. And as this river of wholeness returns to the sea of your heart, its first and most natural expression is a profound, spontaneous, and overwhelming feeling of gratitude. This is not the polite, conditioned thank you of social etiquette. This is a visceral, soul-deep recognition of grace. It is the feeling of coming home. We have been taught to think of gratitude as a passive response to a positive event, a simple courtesy. This is like thinking of the sun as a simple light bulb. The truth is that gratitude is one of the most dynamic and powerful forces in the universe. It is not a reaction, it is an act of creation. It is the master tool of the spiritual alchemist. Alchemy is the ancient art of transformation, of turning base metals like lead into pure, radiant gold. Gratitude is the force that allows you to perform this same sacred alchemy upon the circumstances of your own life. It has the power to transmute the lead of your pain into the gold of your wisdom, and the lead of your perceived lack into the gold of true abundance. To understand how this works, we must revisit the law of vibration. Your reality is a mirror of your dominant frequency. A state of complaint, of focusing on what is wrong, what is missing, what is unfair, is a low, chaotic, and dissonant frequency. It is the vibrational signature of lack. When you broadcast this signal, the universe, in its perfect and impersonal logic, can only mirror back to you more circumstances that give you a reason to complain, to feel that something is missing. Gratitude is the opposite. It is one of the highest, most coherent, and most powerful frequencies you can embody. It is the vibrational signature of abundance. It is a signal that radiates a single, clear message to the universe. I have enough. I am cared for. Life is a gift. When you are in a genuine state of gratitude, your heart opens, your energy field expands, and you become a resonant magnet for more experiences that match that feeling. The universe does not distinguish between what you have and what you are feeling grateful for. It simply responds to the pure, powerful signal of appreciation itself and reflects back more experiences for which to be grateful. This is the great secret. You do not need to wait for your life to be perfect to feel gratitude. You feel gratitude to make your life perfect. Let us use our metaphor of the garden. Your consciousness is the garden, your beliefs are the soil, and your intentions are the seeds. Gratitude is the sun. The sun shines down upon the garden, and its light is the catalyst for all growth. The sun does not judge. It shines on the smallest sprout and the tallest tree, on the fragrant rose and the humble weed. The sunlight of your gratitude works in the same way. When you shine the light of your gratitude upon the small, good things already present in your life, the warmth of your bed, the taste of your food, the presence of a friend, they grow. Their energy is magnified. You begin to notice more and more small, good things, and your entire experience of life becomes richer and more joyful. But the true alchemy of gratitude is revealed when you learn to shine its light on the things you have previously labeled as bad. This is the advanced practice. Can you shine the sun of gratitude on the lead of a painful memory? It is a challenging task. But if you can look back at a heartbreak and genuinely feel grateful for the compassion it taught you, for the resilience it forged in you, the lead of that pain is transmuted into the gold of wisdom. That painful memory no longer drains your energy. It becomes a source of strength. Can you shine the light of gratitude on a current challenge, a difficulty you are facing right now? Can you feel grateful for the opportunity it is giving you to grow, to learn, to discover a strength you did not know you possessed? When you do this, you are no longer a victim of the challenge. You are its student. The energy of the problem is instantly transformed from an obstacle into a stepping stone. This is what it means to turn what you have into enough. Gratitude is the philosophical solvent that can dissolve any problem by revealing the gift hidden within it. The practice of this alchemy begins with embodiment. It is not enough to make a mental list of things you are grateful for. That is like knowing the chemical formula for sunlight without ever feeling its warmth on your skin. You must feel gratitude in your body. Try this. Bring to mind one simple thing you can appreciate right now. It could be the chair that is supporting you. It could be the simple fact that you are breathing without effort. Choose one thing. Now, close your eyes and bring all of your attention to it. Move beyond the thought of it and feel the feeling of appreciation. Where do you feel it in your body? Perhaps it is a warmth in your chest, a softening in your shoulders, a gentle smile forming on your lips. Dwell in that physical sensation. breathe into it, amplify it. Let this feeling of gratitude become your entire universe for 30 seconds. This is the practice. You are not just thinking a thought. You are inhabiting a state of being. You are consciously tuning your entire instrument to the radiant frequency of grace. When you make this a regular practice, something extraordinary begins to happen. The rigid boundary between you and the thing you are grateful for begins to soften and dissolve. In a moment of profound gratitude for the beauty of a tree, the sense of I who is looking at the tree fades away, and there is only a unified field of loving appreciation. In a moment of deep gratitude for another person, your sense of separation from them melts, and you feel only the truth of your shared humanity, your shared consciousness. The feeling of being a small, isolated self, a lonely fragment in a vast and indifferent world, begins to reveal itself as a profound illusion. As the feeling of gratitude becomes your natural state, the feeling of loneliness becomes impossible. How can you be lonely when you feel an intimate, loving connection to the air you breathe, the water you drink, the earth that supports you? The frequency of gratitude is the frequency of connection. It is the awareness that you are not a separate entity, but an integral, beloved part of a single, magnificent whole. This felt sense of unity, born from a heart overflowing with gratitude, is the gateway to the next great realization on our journey. It prepares you to see through the most fundamental illusion of the human ego, the myth of separation itself. You have bathed your life in the sunlight of gratitude, and in its warm, radiant light, you have felt the boundaries of your own selfhood begin to soften. In a moment of deep appreciation for the world, the feeling of being a separate I looking at a separate that starts to dissolve. This experience, however fleeting, is not a momentary emotional high. It is a glimpse through the final and most fundamental veil of illusion, a peek into the reality that underlies all of existence. It is the beginning of the end of the greatest story of suffering ever told, the myth of separation. The deepest, most pervasive pain of the human condition arises from a single, core delusion. The belief that you are a separate, isolated consciousness trapped inside a body, fundamentally divided from the world, from other people, and from the God or universe you seek. This feeling of being a lonely fragment in a vast cosmos is the primal wound. It is the origin story of all our fear, all our conflict, and all our desperate searching. From the moment we learn to say, I, me, and mine, we begin to build the fortress of a separate self. This is a natural and necessary stage of human development, allowing us to function in the world. But we were never meant to live out our entire lives as prisoners within this fortress. We were meant to realize that the fortress itself is an illusion, and that we are, and always have been, one with the entire landscape. Let us examine the consequences of this perceived separation. If you believe you are a separate entity, you must also believe you are vulnerable. You are a small, fragile being in a world of immense, unpredictable forces. This belief is the seed from which all fear and anxiety grow. You must protect yourself, defend your boundaries, and guard your resources, because you are alone against the world. This belief in separation also gives rise to the profound ache of loneliness. If you are fundamentally separate, then you are fundamentally alone. This fuels an endless, often desperate, search for connection, for someone or something to fill the void you feel inside. You seek to merge with another, to temporarily soothe the pain of your own perceived isolation. On a larger scale, the myth of separation is the root of all human conflict. If you are you, and I am me, and our interests are not aligned, then you become my competitor, or even my enemy. Your success could mean my failure. Your gain could be my loss. This thinking is the foundation of all jealousy, greed, war, and violence. It is the justification for treating other human beings as objects to be used, obstacles to be removed, or threats to be neutralized. Furthermore, this illusion extends to our relationship with the planet itself. The belief that nature is a separate thing, a collection of resources that is, not me, has allowed us to exploit it without consequence, to pollute our own nest, forgetting that we are not separate from the web of life, but are a single thread within it. The ecological crisis is a massive, planetary-scale reflection of this inner spiritual crisis of separation. But what if this entire premise is false? Let us investigate the reality of our so-called boundaries. You believe your body is a separate object, but consider your breath. The air that was in the leaves of a distant tree moments ago is now inside your lungs, becoming part of your blood, fueling your very cells. Are you separate from the air? You drink a glass of water. That water was once a cloud, once an ocean, once part of another living being. Where does the water end and you begin? The atoms that make up your hand were forged in the heart of a star that exploded billions of years ago. You are, quite literally, made of stardust. The boundary of your skin is not a wall. It is a permeable membrane through which the entire universe flows. Consider your mind. You think your thoughts are yours, but the very language you think in was given to you. The concepts, ideas, and stories that populate your mind were inherited from your culture, your family, and the collective history of humanity. You are a focal point through which the collective human mind is thinking. So where is the separate you? The more deeply you look for this separate self, the more you realize it cannot be found. It is a ghost, a story, a deeply ingrained habit of perception. The most helpful metaphor to grasp this truth is that of the ocean and its waves. Imagine you are a single wave. From your perspective, you have a distinct life. You are born out of the calm sea. You rise to a unique height and shape. You travel a certain distance, and you have a definite end when you crash upon the shore. You see other waves around you. Some are bigger, some are smaller. You might feel proud of your size, or fearful of a larger wave about to overtake you. Your entire existence is defined by this individual journey, and your greatest fear is the inevitable moment of your dissolution. This is the perspective of the human ego, the separate self. Now, let us shift to the perspective of the ocean. From the ocean's perspective, there are no separate waves. There is only the ocean itself, moving. The concept of a wave is just a name we give to a temporary pattern of movement on the surface of the one body of water. The water that makes up your wave was, moments ago, part of a different wave, and will, moments from now, be part of yet another. From the ocean's perspective, nothing is ever born and nothing ever dies. Nothing is ever lost. There is only the constant, rhythmic, and eternal transformation of itself. The wave is not a separate entity. It is the ocean waving. The ultimate spiritual awakening is the moment a wave realizes, I am the ocean. In that instant, all fear vanishes. How can it fear its own end when it realizes it is made of the eternal water that cannot die? It is simply changing its form. How can it feel jealousy or competition with other waves when it knows they are made of the exact same water as itself? How can it feel lonely when it realizes it is intimately connected to every drop of water in the entire, vast sea? This realization does not mean the wave ceases to be a wave. It still has its unique form and expression for a time, but its understanding of its own identity has fundamentally and irrevocably shifted. You are not a wave, destined to crash and disappear. You are the entire, eternal ocean, temporarily expressing yourself as a wave. You can experience this truth directly. You have tasted it in moments of profound awe, standing under a canopy of stars or looking out over a vast mountain range, when your small sense of self dissolved into the grandeur around you. You have felt it in moments of deep love or empathy, where the boundary between you and a loved one seemed to melt away and you felt their joy or their pain as your own. And you feel it most reliably in the deep stillness of your own consciousness. When you quiet the thinking mind, the part of you that constantly defines itself, narrates its story, and reinforces its separateness, what is left? there is a vast, silent, peaceful awareness. This awareness is not your awareness. It is the universal awareness. It is the consciousness of the ocean itself, finally experiencing its own stillness through the portal of your being. This awareness is the common ground that connects everything in existence. It is the one self, wearing all the masks, playing all the parts, waving as all the waves. When you begin to live from this understanding of unity, the world transforms. It is no longer a collection of separate objects, but a single, intelligent, interconnected organism. Every person, every animal, every plant is another expression of the one self. And this realization provides a new and profound foundation for understanding the universal law known as karma. If there is no real separation between us, then whatever I do to another, I am, in a very real sense, doing to myself. Any thought, word, or action I send out is not a rock thrown at a separate target. It is a pebble dropped into a single pond, and the ripples will inevitably, in some form at some time, return to the point from which they originated. This reframes karma entirely. It ceases to be a system of cosmic reward and punishment for a separate soul. It reveals itself as the simple, elegant, and impersonal law of cause and effect within a unified energetic field. It is the ocean of consciousness responding to its own movements. Karma is not a judgment from an external God. It is loving feedback from our own larger self. You have stood at the edge of the great ocean of being and realized its truth. You are not a separate wave, but the ocean itself. This profound understanding of unity, of the intricate, unbreakable connection between all things, is the key that unlocks one of the most misunderstood spiritual laws in human history. It allows us to approach the concept of karma not with fear and superstition, but with clarity, wisdom, and a newfound sense of empowerment. For generations, the idea of karma has been presented as a system of cosmic justice, a form of divine bookkeeping managed by an unseen judge who doles out rewards and punishments. This view, born from the ego's belief in separation and duality, has created immense fear, guilt, and a sense of fatalistic dread. It paints a picture of a universe where we are constantly being watched, judged, and potentially punished for past mistakes, even those from lifetimes we cannot remember. Let us, here and now, release this heavy, fear-based interpretation. It is a story created by a consciousness that did not understand the truth of unity. The universe is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. Karma is not a punishment, it is physics. In its original Sanskrit meaning, the word karma simply means action or deed. It is the universal law of cause and effect, as fundamental and impersonal as the law of gravity. It states that every action rooted in a specific intention and energy creates a corresponding reaction, a returning ripple of the same energetic quality. It is not a moral law, it is an energetic one. The universe does not judge your actions as good or bad. It simply and perfectly mirrors the energy from which your actions arise. Because you now understand that you are not separate from the whole, you can see how this law must function. In a unified field, in a single ocean of consciousness, there is no out there. Any energy you emit, any ripple you create, does not travel to an external target. It travels through the very fabric of the being that you are. And like a boomerang, like a ripple in a perfectly circular pond, the energy must, by law, return to its point of origin. An action motivated by the contracting, chaotic energy of fear, anger, or jealousy will inevitably create a reality that reflects back more fear, anger, and jealousy. An action motivated by the expansive, coherent energy of love, compassion, or generosity will inevitably create a reality that reflects back more love, compassion, and generosity. This is not a reward from a benevolent God. It is the universe impeccably rebalancing its own energy field. It is the ocean responding to its own movement. The most compassionate way to understand karma is to see it not as a judge, but as a loving and perfectly accurate feedback mechanism. Imagine that life is a scientific laboratory for the soul, and your purpose is to learn about the nature of energy. Karma is your primary diagnostic tool. It is like a magnificent, divine mirror that not only reflects your energy, but also magnifies it, so that you cannot possibly ignore the results of your own inner state. When you send out a subtle, almost unconscious vibration of resentment toward someone, the universe may magnify that signal and reflect back to you a major, undeniable conflict. It does this not to punish you for your resentment, but to lovingly show you, in a way you cannot miss, look, this is what resentment creates. This conflict, this tension, this pain, this is the tangible result of the energy you are broadcasting. Do you like how it feels? Do you wish to continue creating with this frequency? Similarly, when you perform a small, almost unnoticed act of kindness, with no expectation of reward, a genuine smile, a helping hand, a compassionate thought, the universe may magnify that signal and reflect back to you an unexpected opportunity, a moment of grace, or a wave of profound peace. It does this not as a payment for your good deed, but to lovingly show you, look, this is what love creates. This feeling of warmth, of connection, of flow, this is the tangible result of the energy you are broadcasting. Do you see its power? Do you wish to continue creating with this frequency? Karma, seen in this light, ceases to be a source of fear. It becomes your greatest teacher. It is a perfectly calibrated compass, constantly showing you the direction your soul is heading. The feedback it provides is always loving, because its sole purpose is to guide you back to your own inner truth, back to the awareness of your own creative power. With this new understanding, your entire relationship to your life and your choices is transformed. You are no longer a victim of a predetermined fate or bad karma. The past, whether from this life or another, only has power over you to the extent that you continue to broadcast the same energetic patterns that created it. Your point of power is not in the past. It is always, eternally, in the present moment. Before you act, before you speak, you can learn to pause and become the watcher of your own inner state. You can ask yourself, from where is this intended action arising? What is the energetic root of the words I am about to speak? Is it the ego's need to be right, to defend, to attack, which is rooted in fear? Or is it the soul's desire to connect, to heal, to express truth with compassion, which is rooted in love? In that sacred pause, you reclaim your power. You move from being an unconscious effect of past causes to being the conscious cause of your future effects. You are no longer simply reacting to the world. You are intentionally creating the quality of the ripples you send out into the pond of the universe. This is the art of self-mastery. It is the understanding that you are fully responsible for the energy you bring into every situation. When you meet an angry person, do you react with your own anger, thereby amplifying the chaotic energy and guaranteeing a painful karmic return? Or do you pause, anchor in your own peace, and respond with compassion, thereby introducing a new, coherent frequency into the situation and creating a ripple of grace? The choice is always yours. As you begin to live this way, karma is no longer a complex web of debts and credits. It becomes a simple, elegant, and beautiful guide for living a life of integrity. The motivation for your actions shifts. You are no longer good for fear of punishment or hope of reward. You act from a place of love and kindness because you understand, on a cellular level, that the love and kindness you extend to another is a gift you are giving to your own larger self. You avoid causing harm not because of a rule in a holy book, but because you know that the energy of harm, sent out into a unified field, will only poison the very ocean in which you live. Your ethics become energetic, not dogmatic. This understanding elevates life from a series of accidental happenings into a profound and beautiful art form. Every moment becomes a canvas. Every choice becomes a brushstroke. You are no longer a pawn in a cosmic game, but the artist of your own becoming, learning to paint with the colors of love, wisdom, and grace. You are now ready to practice the art of conscious living. You have recalibrated your understanding of karma, seeing it not as a fearsome judge, but as a loving, energetic feedback system. You have realized that you are the artist of your life, and that the quality of your inner state, your intentions, your vibrations, the paint with which you create your reality. This realization is the final key that unlocks you from the prison of unconscious reaction and invites you into the sunlit studio of conscious creation. We now arrive at the great practice itself, the application of all you have learned. We arrive at the art of conscious living. For much of our lives, we operate under the delusion that our real life has not yet begun. We are waiting. We are waiting for the weekend, for the vacation, for the kids to grow up, for retirement. We treat our present moments as mere stepping stones to a future destination where we believe our true spiritual life will finally commence. We see our daily chores, washing the dishes, driving to work, answering emails as tedious obstacles to be endured. We are waiting for the grand, important moments, and in doing so, we are sleeping through the entirety of our existence. For life is only ever a sequence of present moments. The art of conscious living is the decision to stop waiting. It is the awakening to the profound truth that this moment, right here, with all its mundane simplicity, is the only spiritual life you will ever have. The holiest ground you will ever stand on is the ground beneath your feet right now. Conscious living is the art of turning every single action, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, into a meditation. It is the practice of infusing the ordinary with the extraordinary power of your presence. Let us explore this through the simple act of washing a dish. The unconscious way, the way most of us have lived, is to perform the task while the mind is somewhere else entirely. You are physically at the sink, but your consciousness is lost in the echo chamber, replaying an argument from yesterday, worrying about a meeting tomorrow, resenting the chore itself. The action is mindless, automatic, and tinged with resistance. The conscious way is to transform the act into a sacrament. You begin by setting an intention, perhaps for cleanliness and clarity. Then you bring your full presence to the sensory experience. You feel the warmth of the water on your hands. You notice the smooth, cool surface of the plate. You see the iridescent shimmer of the soap bubbles. You hear the gentle sound of the water and the sponge. You are not thinking about washing the dish. You are simply, fully being there, washing the dish. In that moment, there is no past, no future, no problem to be solved. There is only the warm water and the present moment. The chore has been transmuted from a burden into a rich, sensory meditation. You have not changed what you are doing. You have profoundly changed how you are doing it. This is the essence of conscious living. This art can be applied to every corner of your life. Consider the act of walking. Unconsciously, it is a race from point A to point B. Your mind fixated on the destination. Consciously, it becomes a practice of embodiment. You feel the soles of your feet making contact with the earth. You notice the subtle shift of weight in your hips, the gentle swing of your arms. You feel the air on your skin and see the play of light and shadow around you. The journey itself becomes the destination, each step a moment of grounded presence. Consider the act of eating. Unconsciously, it is a mechanical process of refueling, often done while distracted by a screen. Consciously, it is an act of deep connection and gratitude. You look at the food on your plate and acknowledge the sun, the soil, the rain, and the many hands that brought it to you. You chew slowly, savoring the textures and flavors. You are not just consuming calories, you are receiving the life force of the earth, an act of communion with the planet that sustains you. Consider the act of listening to another person. Unconsciously, we are often not listening at all. We are waiting for our turn to speak, formulating our response, judging what is being said. Consciously, you set an intention to truly hear, to understand, to offer the other person the sacred space of your undivided attention. You listen not just to their words, but to the feeling behind the words, to the silence between the sentences. In doing so, you offer one of the greatest gifts one human being can give another, and you transform a simple conversation into an act of profound connection. Your life is a great canvas. Most people are painting their masterpiece unconsciously. Their hand is flailing, guided by the chaotic impulses of the ego. They dip their brush into the muddy pots of fear, resentment, and anxiety, and then they smear these colors across the canvas without intention. They look at the resulting picture a messy, incoherent, and unsatisfying blur, and they blame the canvas, the paints, or the quality of the light in the studio. The conscious artist understands that the power lies in the brushstroke. The conscious artist knows that every moment is a new stroke upon the canvas. Before each stroke, they pause. They choose their color with intention. Will this stroke be one of compassion, of frustration, of presence, of distraction? They then execute the stroke with as much presence and awareness as they can muster. It does not matter if they are painting a grand, sweeping landscape or a single, simple leaf. The quality of their attention, the love in their intention, makes every stroke a masterpiece. The meaning is not in the final picture, but in the love with which it is painted, moment by moment by moment. When you begin to live this way, infusing your moments with presence and your actions with intention, a quiet and profound shift occurs within you. The frantic, lifelong search for a grand purpose begins to fade away. We are taught to believe that our purpose is a destination, a single great thing we must find or achieve to validate our existence. This belief keeps us in a perpetual state of striving, always looking outside ourselves for the one thing that will finally make our lives meaningful. But the conscious artist realizes this is a misunderstanding. Meaning is not a destination to be found. Meaning is a quality of attention to be brought to the journey. When you are fully present for your life, when you infuse each small act with love and intention, your life is already saturated with meaning. You are no longer searching for your purpose, because you are living it in every conscious breath, every mindful action. You realize that the purpose of life was never to find something out there. The purpose of life was simply to be here for it all. In this realization, you discover that you are not just the artist of your life, you are its very purpose. You have learned to live as the artist of your life, infusing each moment with the extraordinary quality of your presence. You have turned the mundane into the sacred, the chore into a meditation, the conversation into a communion. By making each brushstroke of your life a conscious one, you have discovered that meaning is not a destination to be reached, but a presence to be embodied. And yet, even as you embrace this new way of living, a persistent, deeply conditioned question may still echo in the quieter corners of your mind. But what is my purpose? What is the one great thing I am meant to do? For our entire lives, we have been conditioned to believe that we are here for a reason, that we have a specific, unique purpose to find and fulfill, and that our worth and the meaning of our life depend on this discovery. This belief has launched a million frantic spiritual quests. It has become the source of immense pressure, anxiety, and a pervasive feeling of not quite living up to our potential. Let us examine this great purpose quest with the clear light of awareness. It is a quest born from the ego's fundamental insecurity. The ego, feeling small and insignificant in a vast universe, needs a grand narrative to feel important. It needs a special role, a heroic destiny, a legacy that will prove its existence mattered. The quest for purpose becomes the ego's ultimate project of self-validation. It operates on the familiar, painful logic of when, then. When I discover my purpose, then I will feel fulfilled. When I am living my purpose, then my life will have meaning. When I achieve my purpose, then I will finally be at peace. This quest, which presents itself as a noble spiritual search, is often just another trap of psychological time, another way of postponing your peace and wholeness until a future that never arrives. The suffering created by this quest is immense. It creates a paralyzing anxiety, the constant fear that you are wasting your life or have somehow missed your calling. You look at others who seem to have a clear passion or direction, and the ego's voice of comparison whispers that you are lost, adrift, and fundamentally lacking. This can lead to a state of paralysis, where the fear of choosing the wrong purpose prevents you from choosing anything at all. You remain frozen, waiting for a bolt of lightning, a divine sign that will finally tell you what to do. And even for those who achieve what they believe to be their purpose, writing the great novel, building the successful company, raising the perfect family, there often comes a quiet, terrifying moment after the goal is met. A hollow feeling, a sense of, what now? The purpose, once achieved, proves to be a fleeting source of fulfillment, and the ego immediately begins searching for the next one, perpetuating the cycle of restless seeking. Today, we are going to lay down this heavy burden. We will dismantle this painful myth. The truth is this: you do not have a purpose. You are the purpose. Your purpose is not something you do. It is not a role you find. It is not a goal you achieve. Your purpose is to be what you are in this moment, with as much presence and awareness as you can muster. To understand this, we must make a crucial distinction between your function and your purpose. Your function is what you do in the world. It is your job, your career, your roles as a parent, a spouse, a friend, a child. Your function can be a doctor, an artist, a street sweeper, a caregiver. Your functions are temporary. They will change many times throughout your life. We live in a culture that has taught us to mistake our function for our purpose. When someone asks, "What do you do?" they are asking about your function, and we answer with our function because we have come to believe that what we do defines who we are and why we are here. Your purpose is infinitely deeper than any function. Your purpose is your state of being. It is the quality of consciousness you bring to whatever function you are performing. Your purpose is to be an aperture through which the universe, or God, or consciousness can experience itself in this unique human form. Your purpose is to be present, to be aware, to be love. That is it. This purpose never changes. It is the same whether you are a CEO running a multinational corporation or a hermit meditating in a cave. It is the same when you are at the peak of health and success, and it is the same when you are sick, old, or dying. The opportunity to fulfill your true purpose is present in every single moment of your existence. Consider the rose. The rose does not struggle with anxiety about its purpose. It does not lie awake at night, wondering if it should have been a mighty oak tree instead. It does not compare its bloom to the bloom of the rose next to it. The rose does not believe its purpose is to be useful for the bee that gathers its pollen, or to be beautiful for the human who admires it. Those are simply natural byproducts of its existence. The purpose of the rose is to be a rose. Its entire focus is on being the most complete and authentic rose it can be. It draws water from the soil, it turns its face to the sun, and then, in its own perfect time, it unfolds its petals and releases its unique fragrance into the world. Its purpose is the full, unhindered, and joyful expression of its own essence. You are that rose. Your purpose is not to find a function that will make you useful or valuable to the world. Your purpose is simply to be you. It is to draw nourishment from the deep, silent soil of your own being. It is to turn your face toward the light of your own awareness. It is to allow the unique petals of your gifts, your talents, and your personality to unfold without force or apology. And it is to release the unique, beautiful fragrance of your own authentic presence into the world simply by being who you are. The world may or may not benefit from your fragrance. That is not your concern. Your purpose is the blooming itself. When you grasp this, the primary question of your life shifts profoundly. The old, anxious question was, what should I do with my life to find my purpose? The new, peaceful question is, who am I choosing to be in this moment? to express the purpose that I already am. You can fulfill your purpose as a janitor by bringing presence, dignity, and a quiet love to your work. You can utterly fail at your purpose as a world leader by operating from a place of fear, ego, and disconnection. The function is secondary. The state of being is primary. When you parent a child, your purpose is not to produce a successful adult. That is a potential outcome. Your purpose is to be love, patience, and presence in your interactions with that child right now. When you create art, your purpose is not to become famous or sell paintings. It is to be a clear channel for creative energy in the moment of creation. When you are in a relationship, your purpose is not to find a soulmate to complete you. It is to be a space of love and acceptance where another soul can be seen. This realization is the ultimate liberation. It is the end of the search. The pressure is off. You can finally relax. You can stop judging your life based on your external accomplishments. You can stop feeling like a failure because you haven't found your calling. Your calling is right here, in this breath. Your purpose is to inhabit this moment fully. You cannot fail at this purpose. Even in a moment of confusion, you fulfill your purpose by being fully present with the confusion. Even in a moment of grief, you fulfill your purpose by being a loving space for the grief to exist. You are always, in every moment, fulfilling your purpose, because your purpose is simply to be the consciousness that is experiencing your life. This is the end of your war with yourself. You no longer need to become someone else to feel worthy. You no longer need to achieve something grand to feel purposeful. You are released from the exhausting prison of becoming. You are free from the need to be anything other than exactly what you are right now. This profound release from the burden of the search, this final laying down of the need to be different, is the very essence of freedom. It is the freedom of simply being. You stand now in a new landscape. The frantic, lifelong quest for an external purpose has ended, not in failure, but in a profound realization. You are the purpose. Your very existence, the simple, miraculous fact of your conscious being, is the point of it all. To inhabit your life with awareness is to fulfill your reason for being here. Feel the resonance of this truth. Feel the immense weight that lifts from your shoulders. The pressure to perform, to prove, to achieve, to become something more, something better, all of it dissolves in the quiet dignity of this understanding. This profound sense of relief is your first taste of the final destination of this journey. It is the taste of true freedom. We have been taught to think of freedom as something to be won in the outer world. The ego's idea of freedom is the absence of external constraints. It is the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. It is having enough money to buy anything, enough time to go anywhere, enough power to overcome any obstacle. We spend our lives chasing this external freedom, believing it is the key to happiness. We believe that if we can just break the chains of our financial situation, our job, our relationships, or our responsibilities, we will finally be free. But this is a shallow and ultimately deceptive form of freedom. You can be a billionaire living on a private island and still be a prisoner, enslaved by your own fear of loss, your anxiety, your inner emptiness. You can have a life of complete leisure and still be tormented by the relentless noise of your own mind. External freedom without inner freedom is merely a more spacious prison cell. The freedom we have been journeying toward is not the freedom for the ego, but the freedom from the ego. It is not about breaking external chains, but dissolving the internal ones. It is the freedom that arises not when you get what you want, but when you no longer need anything to be different from how it is. This is the freedom of being. It is a state of profound inner peace that is independent of your outer circumstances. Let us look at the nature of this freedom, for it is the culmination of every step you have taken on this path. It is the freedom from the past. You are free because you have made peace with your sacred scars, seeing them not as flaws, but as golden seams of resilience. You are free because you know that the past exists only as a thought in your mind, a ghost that has no power over the living reality of the now. It is the freedom from the future. You are free because you are no longer a slave to the anxiety of what might be. You have learned to float in the great river of life, trusting its current to carry you. You have anchored yourself in the present moment through the rhythm of your breath, and you know that in the now, you have all the power and resources you will ever need. It is the freedom from the need to be worthy. You are free because you have excavated the golden statue of your true self from beneath the mud of conditioning. You know that your worth is not earned through your actions or achievements. It is inherent, unconditional, and absolute. You no longer need to perform for love or approval, from others or from yourself. It is the freedom from the judgment of others. You are free because you understand that the outer world is a mirror. The criticism and the praise of others are simply reflections of their own inner states or of the parts of yourself you are learning to integrate. You are no longer a ship tossed about by the winds of opinion. You are the deep, calm ocean beneath. It is the freedom from your own mind. You are free because you have witnessed the echo chamber and the hall of mirrors for what they are. You are no longer a prisoner of your own looping thoughts. You have cultivated the currency of stillness and have learned to rest as the silent watcher, the untouched sky that holds all the weather of the mind without being harmed by it. This entire journey can be seen through one final metaphor. Imagine your life has been a long, arduous climb up a great ladder. You were told from a young age that at the top of this ladder, you would find happiness, peace, and fulfillment. Each rung of the ladder was an achievement, a good grade, a new job, a relationship, a possession. You have been climbing with all your might, competing with others on ladders nearby, always looking up, always striving, your muscles aching with the effort, your mind filled with the fear of falling. The entire focus of your life has been the climb itself. Spiritual awakening is the moment, often born of exhaustion or crisis, when you pause your climbing. You stop for a breath, and for the first time, you dare to look around. You peer over the top of the ladder and realize, with a shock, that the rooftop you were striving for is empty. Or perhaps even more profoundly, you realize that your ladder has been leaning against the wrong wall entirely. The prize you have been seeking is not here. All this effort, all this struggle, was based on a false promise. In that moment of disillusionment, you are faced with a choice. You can continue to cling to the ladder in despair, or you can do the most courageous thing imaginable. You can let go. You can turn around and gently, deliberately, step off the ladder and place your feet back on the solid ground. And in that moment, you discover the ultimate truth. The happiness, the peace, the stability you thought were at the top of the ladder were here on the ground all along. The ground is the simple, profound reality of the present moment. The ground is the truth of your own being. True freedom is the realization that you do not need a ladder. You do not need to climb. You do not need to get anywhere else. Everything you have ever been searching for is right here, where you are. This is the freedom of being. It is the end of the war with what is. It is the end of the war with yourself. There is nothing to fix, nothing to attain, nothing to become. There is only the gentle, loving permission to be exactly as you are, to be the consciousness that is experiencing this moment, to be the space for your joy, your sorrow, your breath, your heartbeat. It is the peace that passeth all understanding, for it is not a peace that depends on your understanding. It is the peace that arises when all searching stops. It is the quiet exhale of a soul that has, after a long journey, finally arrived home. And so, we arrive here, not at an end, but at a quiet beginning, a return. The long journey through the landscape of your inner world has led you back to the very ground on which you have always stood. There is no grand truth to memorize, no complex doctrine to uphold. There is only a simple remembrance. Remember the lighthouse. You are the lighthouse. Your life, your experiences, your wounds, they have not diminished your light. They have only served as the unique and intricate lens through which your light shines, refracting it into a beautiful, singular spectrum that is yours alone. Do not spend your days trying to repair the lens. Your only work and your only joy is to shine. Perhaps in this moment of stillness, you might gently place a hand over the center of your chest. Close your eyes if that feels right for you. And for a moment, simply feel, beneath your hand, feel the steady, faithful rhythm of your own heart. This is the drumbeat of your life. It is the pulse of the ocean of being, expressing itself as you. It has been with you every moment, a constant, loving reminder that you are alive, you are here, you are a part of this. Feel the warmth of your own hand, the simple comfort of your own presence. You have been searching for a safe harbor your entire life. That harbor is right here. You have been searching for home. Let these words now be your own, not as an affirmation to be repeated, but as a truth to be inhabited. Let them resonate in the quiet space of your being, in the silence that follows the sound. The universe does not happen to me. It happens through me. I am the stillness. I am the light. I am home. Rest here. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to become. Rest in the peace of your own being.